This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
Your picks have been horrible, man.
It's the point. It's the point of the show. Isn't it? Isn't it? It's possible. I don't understand what this podcast is about.
Poppycock. It's a fuck house.
On a weekly basis, we are consuming more concentrated bad movies than probably anybody in the history of mankind.
Poppycock.
What story? What story? What are you talking about?
Do you want lunch?
I have yet to laugh in this movie. I'll just tell you that.
You picked it, motherfucker. Just remember that.
You know what the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
So I was legitimately offended.
You were offended?
I was offended.
I didn't know you could get offended.
I was offended.
This did it.
If I were gay, I wouldn't be offended.
They're fucking making shit up, Amin.
Inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail.
Bees don't lie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm holding a mic in my hands, and now I'm talking all alone.
Welcome to Cinephobe, part of the 24-hour live stream right here on the LeBatard Show and Friends Network. I'm Zach Harper. That's Amin Al-Hassan. Amin, are you okay?
I'm getting there, man.
Okay.
I need to catch my second win.
All right.
We've been doing this for 13 hours now.
You know who's always energized me?
Who?
Method Man.
Aww.
Method Man has always energized me for decades.
So for the audience watching along at home, thank you guys so much for taking this graveyard shift over here. But we were alerted that Method Man would be able to join us anytime between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. And he knew he'd be just like rolling the dice as to which unit he'd be talking to. And we got a big unit in here.
We do.
Amin Al-Hassan and Zach Harper. What's up, Meth?
What's going on?
Meth, we're both huge fans of yours, and we have actually done one of your movies for our podcast. Our podcast is Cinephobe, in which we take movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, and we try to ascertain whether or not they're properly poorly rated, or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. And we did How High. We did that months ago, and Meth, spoiler alert, we both love that shit. That is an amazing movie. I don't know why it even qualified for our podcast. I don't know how it got so poorly rated, but we love that movie.
It's the highest compliment.
I appreciate that. We worked hard on that thing right there, but I could tell you how it was poorly rated. Because it was poorly hated.
Oh,
Haters.
How does that happen, Meth? You're so fun. Everything you've done is so fun. It sounds like I'm just sucking up to you right now, but I am a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. So, Meth, like, why has that happened to you?
Well, you know, we were the little movie that could. When How High dropped, it was around Christmas. And I remember because it was Harry Potter and a bunch of other movies out. And people were calling me saying stuff like, yo, it's sold out in here. It's sold out in here, because we were in the multiplexes. What I didn't know was the multiplexes don't have, every theater in the multiplex isn't huge. You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So the reason why the theaters were packed with How High is because people were buying, the movie would sell out, but people were buying movie tickets to the other. So there was a spike in Harry Potter, a spike in this, a spike in that around Christmas time because people were buying tickets for those movies, but sneaking in the hours because we were in the littlest theater in the corner.
I did that with Barbed Wire, that Pam Anderson movie back in like 1996 as a 14-year-old. Yeah, it was a big moment.
I'm surprised that wasn't on the big screen. Pam is awesome.
Pam is awesome. And let me tell you, for 14-year-old me or however old I was when that movie came out, I was a big fan. That was the exact movie I needed it to be.
Now, Matt, you guys were in this movie. You had some real life actors, like big time actors, like Fred Willard, and who else?
Shout out to OG.
Yeah, shout out to OG Fred Willard, who passed away recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
How were you guys received when you came on? Because you guys are the rappers, right? They coming in here and basically taking some good acting jobs from actors.
Well, I mean, if they said the movie was trash, I don't think we took anything from it. No, actually, I don't believe we cut the line at all because the actual title of the movie is a record that myself and Redman did. And this thing was designed especially for us. It's no different than what Kid and Play did. Well, slightly different because I believe the Hutland brothers had a big hand. Shout out to the Hutland brothers. Black a big hand in doing that movie, which is a classic, by the way. So this was just geared for me and Redman. I don't think we cut any lines, but if you see me in like a Marvel movie or a big DC movie, I absolutely cut the line.
So if you're like the new Ant-Man or something, if they kick Paul Rudd out for some reason, we know that you did something nefarious.
Yeah, you think they're going to kick Paul Rudd out?
Hey, man.
You never know.
You never know. It's a tough game out here, man. People have been canceled for less.
Hey, Paul Rudd is certified, though. Let's be clear. Let's keep it a buck in here.
Well, Meth,
he's certified.
Meth, what made you want to act? What made you want to break away from just doing music and show more?
I was broke. No, I'm playing. Actually, what it was I wasn't as satisfied as I was with the music anymore. It was drying up for me as far as not for the genre, but for me. Hello? Yeah. But for me on a whole, because, it was a whole new wave came in. It's a young man's sport out there, especially with hip hop. And most of the shows we were getting booked for was overseas because no one was booking older school rappers in the States. And if you were getting booked, it was for like 10 grand, crappy money. And we felt like we deserved more since we contributed so much to the game. But then it got a little tedious because I had found myself overseas for the 9th time that year. And it's like, wow.
That's a lot.
I know I can do, I know I can do more than this. So I made a promise to myself that when I got back, I would explore, other revenues of not just getting money, but, to entertain myself, career-wise, and acting. It was like, why not? Let me see if I can do this. And if I'm not going to go 110% at it, I'm not going to even try it. So I went 110% at it, and I got booked, and I haven't looked back since.
Matt, I got to ask you, in the movie, Jamal and Silas have a really funny origin story, how they meet. What was the meeting between you and Redman the first time like?
It ain't as funny, but it's kind of funny because he don't remember it because he was gone. He was gone. But I remember it vividly because everything was new for me. I was a brand new artist, and I was going out by myself. It was a crisscross album release party.
Okay.
They weren't there. But you know how you're in a big hotel and they have like that conference room and they had like some snacks set up and a poster of Crisscross, and they just were playing their album, debuting their album for, like media and people of that ilk. And that's probably why myself, Redman, was there. There's a picture we took that day because Nas was there too, and Curious George. And there's a picture of myself, Nas, Redman, and Curious George.
And Red has no recollection of this.
And he has no recollection. And that was the first time I ever met his ass. It was when I had the, matter of fact, I can tell you exactly. It floats around on Instagram too. It's a picture of me. I got a fork in my mouth and a New York Mets hat on. and Doc is in the picture with me. And then there's one with Nas in the picture with us and Curious George. But they always crop Curious out. I wonder why.
It doesn't ring a bell, but yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out later.
That's probably why.
That's
probably why.
We'll figure it out. Matt,
I'm hip-hop to the core. Curious George was a good artist, by the way.
Matt, I want to test your memory here, okay? Now, this is going to be pretty hard to remember, but about 8 or 9 years ago, it was either 2013 or 2012, I went to Des Moines, Iowa for 4th of July because Wu-Tang was performing in Des Moines, Iowa on 4th of July. Unfortunately, I got too high to go to the concert. There was a weed brownie. It's not like, like my friend messed up the weed brownie and I hit the floor and I never looked back for like 18 hours. And so I missed the concert, but I need to know because I just realized like maybe you weren't even there. Do you remember doing that show? Were you a part of that?
I was going to stop you as soon as you said Des Moines. I was
that's why it didn't make sense, right? I mean, it could have just been this big, this big ruse.
I'm not sure. Honestly, I've been so many places. I mean, Des Moines. I can't say I have. I can't say I haven't.
Now,
I know I've been to Normal.
I do feel better.
Illinois before.
Okay.
You ever been to Normal, Illinois?
Normal?
Like Normal, Illinois.
Like
it makes
Chicago?
you know what abnormal Illinois is like, right? No, Normal, Illinois.
It's called Normal?
It's a place in Illinois called Normal. We went there on the Hard Knock Life tour, and that was the joke. Like, what does abnormal Illinois look like?
Wow.
And you said Chicago. I'm going to tell everybody in Chicago you said
that. Matt, what? Yeah, Amin hates Chicago. Matt, what's your favorite scene in How High? What's your favorite, like either that you think is the funniest or that you had the most fun shooting?
I think the pimp scene with Mike Epps and that guy was one of the funniest scenes in the movie.
Shout out to
the funnest. The most fun we had filming was probably when we had the party. Mm-hmm. And that was like a week-long shoot right there. And, you know, it was just fun. Everybody was just having fun, man. Had Cypress Hill come through. Mike was snapping on everybody's shit. Pardon my French. Chuck Liddell was there.
That's Chuck right. Liddell, Chuck Liddell's in the movie. Yeah, he's got a little cameo there.
Yes. Yeah.
The movie How High came out in 2001. How High 2 came out not too long ago. How did you feel about them rebooting your movie?
All right, I'm keep it a buck. I thought they were smart enough to know that there was a product out there that nobody had done anything with for so long, and I probably would have did the same thing if I had the money to do it. So MTV was very smart. MTV was very smart because when they aired it, it got such high ratings. And this is regular TV, so all the curses and everything is pretty much taken out. And they were more or less like, well, what are these guys doing with it? You know, Universal sitting on it, we sitting on it. They bought the product and they put a movie out. And I salute DC Young Fly and Lil Yachty for stepping up because I was not going to do that movie. No way.
Come on now.
Wait, now what would it have taken?
Yeah.
A better script. Wow. Period. That's pretty much it. But like I said, DC Young Fly is hilarious. And Yachty did his thing for a first-time actor. And like I said, you know, we wouldn't crap on those guys because, you know, like you said, it's like stealing a job from somebody. I would never steal a job from somebody or take a check away from someone.
Now, did they approach you guys about doing a cameo of your old role or something like that? Was there even a discussion for you to say no to?
I personally was approached. Redman, I don't think so. I think that once they got a note from me, they was like, well, if we can't get one, you know, pretty much.
You kind of took a job away from Redman then.
And that had nothing to do with DC or Lil Yachty. It was just, like I said, it was a material thing.
Gotcha.
Meth, we struggled with this on our podcast when we did the movie. Do you remember the professor who's the botany professor? What is his accent supposed to be? Because we couldn't figure it. Like, it's not French, and it's like...
It's probably Swedish or Russian, somewhere in between there.
Do it. Come on, man.
He was saying, like, I give you an egg. Like that's what it sounded, but I can't. That doesn't sound Russian to me. It doesn't sound Swedish. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but like we could not, for the life of us, figure that out.
I don't know, but that guy Terry is like he's been around a long time, man. He's a legend. I have no idea. You got me now. Now you're gonna make me watch it.
And after maybe check out the Cinephobe podcast episode in which we review it. And spoiler alert, we loved it.
We all loved it.
Yeah.
We got the clean sweep, the highest honor in the land.
Yeah, clean sweep. All three of us on the podcast said, yes, this is a good movie. Like this is unfair. Yes. And that's it.
So you guys only watch bad movies or movies that they tell you are bad?
Well, exactly. Movies that they tell us are bad. And we try to figure out, we try to ascertain, were they actually bad or maybe they didn't get a fair shake? And in the case of How High, didn't get a fair shake.
That's a great little platform right there. I wish I would have thought of that. That's dope, guys.
Hey,
nice.
Hey, Meth, anytime you want to come on, I'll kick them in off this show and it'll be you and me and our producer, Anthony Mays, and we will review whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah. I got a couple of little ditties there that I can't believe people didn't like. You know, that
what's a movie?
They're classics now.
Okay.
They're classics now, but they were badly reviewed. Evil Dead Part 2. What the hell?
That's a great one.
I didn't see that one.
Great movie.
Come on.
You never saw it, huh?
Evil Dead Part 2? No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wow. You can check that out. It's better than
We'll
Part
put it on
1.
the list. What else? What else you got?
That's pretty much it because Attack the Block is one of my favorite movies, but it's a great movie.
Yeah. No, that one was well reviewed.
I think so. I don't think that qualifies for us.
Yeah, that was well reviewed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something.
Dread. They tried to crap on that movie. Not the
Stallone Judge Dredd, but the other one.
The other one because they said it was too much like The Raid. But Urban did bring in that. Fanboys loved it, but critics kind of crapped on it.
I'm done with these critics. I gotta say, we read reviews of these guys every episode, and
it's the same names over and over again. It's the same names
shitting on the same movie. It's like if you don't like movies, just don't review movies.
Also, by the way, they love to do this thing, Meth, where they watch a movie and no one will mention another movie, but they'll all have that other movie in their head. So one of the movies we did was A Million Ways to Die in the West. That's a Seth MacFarlane movie that I liked. I enjoyed it. But all the critics kept mentioning Blazing Saddles. Nobody said nothing about Blazing Saddles. Why are you bringing it up in your review?
And plus, there's a lot of people that watch that movie don't even know what the hell Blazing Saddles is.
Exactly. So maybe use your review and say this is good. Maybe you should also check out Blazing Saddles.
There you go.
But if you look at some of the Oscar winners, I mean, The Artist, for instance, which I thought was a good movie, but they want that old Hollywood back. Well, guess what? You can't have it back.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of issues and things and movies that people want to see, and it doesn't include you guys. So you guys should not be doing the reviews, you know? But that's not crapping on movie critics because they make a lot of valid points. And sometimes the dissection of the movie gets a little out of hand. It's like it can't be it can't be Gone with the Wind. Every movie can't be Gone with the Wind. You know what I mean?
Gone with the Wind
Every
sucks,
now and then.
My mom loves that movie. She's
sucks.
watching right now, so I gotta shout out Gone with the Wind from her.
It's not good.
At this point, the only way to satisfy every critic is to redo one of those classic movies that they love and don't tell them that you're redoing it.
Right. You just give it a different title, right?
Right. And they'll say, oh my God, it's the 2000, you know how they put that cliche shit. It's the 2021 Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Right.
It's you know what I mean?
Left with the breeze.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Meth, what was the first like acting job where you were like, oh, I made it. Like this is it. I'm an actor now.
The first time I got an acting job, I was like, I made it. No, I didn't. Everybody should think that though. You know, it's like I did it. Yeah. You know what? The first big paycheck I got, honestly, we did a commercial for Right Guard. Power Stick.
What?
Wait, did you guys kind of like spoof the sophisticated, distinguished gentleman one? Am I remembering this correctly?
No, we didn't do the sophisticated genius one. It was more of a sports thing, and it was these bike riders and stuff, and we was putting all these shenanigans in front of them. Okay. And I remember because they wanted us to do like some Keystone Cop-ish, and I was like, man, I'm a grown-ass man. I ain't doing that ish. Y'all go ahead with that.
You ain't got to censor yourself. You can say shit. This is on YouTube.
But the reason... Yeah, I had to edit myself. I do that now. I'm 50. But the reason I brought it up was because that was the first time I got paid $500,000 for one thing I did. $500,000 for a commercial. And I told those people
for deodorant.
Yes, and the exec told us, he was like, we had a few other people in mind, but I asked my kids, who should we use? And the majority of the kids said Method Man and Redman. I said, send me their addresses, their ages. We're going to get them Christmas presents.
Wow.
Okay, so on that note, what's a time where you got paid and you would have definitely did it for a lot less money, but they ended up overpaying? Yeah.
All right. Prime example. I did Foxy Brown, El Nana, first album Foxy ever did on Def Jam, label mate, of course. Right. So they asked me if I would do a hook for her. At this point in time, you know, I'm getting some money, but it's just a hook. So I'm like, I'll take 25. Cool. I go to the studio, I do the song. Say about a week or two later, I get a check, $25K. I was thinking 2,500. Yeah, I was saying 2,500. You know, but me not a gift horse in the mouth.
Right, no, yeah.
You ran to the bank.
No, actually, I didn't run to the bank. One of the guys that worked at the label at Def Jam, Mike Kaiser, took me to Torno, right across the street from 34th Street's Macy's. It was a watch dealer.
Right.
And I bought my first Rolex.
Wow.
Blew the whole freaking thing.
One go, huh? One go.
Now, if it was 2,500, I would put it in the bank. But this was a blessing. This is like finding $20 in the street. Are you going to put that in the bank?
No, you're just I'm blowing my lottery tickets or some shit like that. Like, that's what I'm. Yeah. We're also joined, Meth. We're also joined now by Adam McKay, Oscar winner. That's a Meth. You got to get into the Oscar winner category here. But Adam,
you know what? I'll chill. I'll chill.
Adam, where is the Oscar?
The Oscars
I don't know.
are at the Kodak Theater up on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm sorry, I'm on a cell phone here. Hold on, I'm getting settled. The Oscars are up at the Kodak Theater on Hollywood. By the way, Method Man, I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, Adam. Big fan of yours also.
One of my favorite rhymes of all time. Got a smile like a crocodile in profile.
I'm glad you got it, because sometimes my stuff goes way over their heads and trickles down their blacks to their butts, and they poop me in the toilet.
Wow.
Never.
That's what's up. What's up. Appreciate it, brother.
Meth, you mentioned taking the $25,000 to go buy a Rolex. Is there something that you bought that you're just like, why did I do that? That was a mistake.
Oh, Jesus. Let me think. There's been a lot of things, but the biggest purchase I ever made, and I thought, why did I buy that, was that diamond ice pick. What was I thinking? Because, you know, it was a problem anytime I tried to travel with it. If I wore it around, I couldn't wear it around my neck. Right. Because if they saw it, it's a weapon. If I put it in my bag, it looks like a weapon.
Right.
Yeah. And there have been times where they debated on whether they were going to let me on a plane or not with my ice pick.
Wow.
Unless I checked it into the baggage that goes underneath. Yeah, okay. Little Kim got robbed for all her crap like that, man.
Oh, not the stowaway luggage.
Yeah. They go through that. Yeah. They go through that. Come on. That's a definite.
I had a brother-in-law works for the airport. We won't say his name, but yeah, he's still selling, like, he gets vacation.
You should have narrowed it the hell down there.
Yeah.
Meth, thank you so much for joining us. I don't think we're going to do better than a diamond ice pick. So thank you so much for joining us.
I got Adam McKay right now, man. Adam's going to blow it up. Give Dan my love.
Absolutely.
Make sure Poppy knows the words to my songs next time, you know, and we're all good.
Meth, thank you so much. All right. That's Thanks, Method Man of How High fame.
Wow. Bye, Method.
Wow. So Adam, do you have a diamond ice pick?
I have a diamond ice cream scooper.
Okay. There it is.
And I don't regret the purchase. I get a lot of use out of it.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
I mean, how could you not?
Cold, yeah, it keeps ice cream cold. That's a brilliant.
Yeah, and it looks fly as shit. I mean, it costs $300,000. But I use it like a couple times a week.
Sure. What's the best ice cream with a gold or with a diamond ice cream scoop?
I use probably sorbet. Raspberry sorbet is the best because the diamond, like cutting into that bright red, looks really nice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to seem gross because, I know some people do it paycheck to paycheck, but I got about 6 diamond ice cream scoopers. I keep them in a velvet case.
You're a successful man. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Is that one for every day of the week and you miss out on Sundays, or how does that work?
It's one for every 3-hour chunk of the waking day.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. No, wait, unless you're doing what we're doing here, in which case that's not enough. We need a couple more.
And what we're doing is, Adam, or I think you're aware, we do a podcast about movies that were poorly rated.
What's it called?
Oh, it's called Cinephobe. And I'm so glad you asked the question. Yeah. It's called Cinephobe, in which we take movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes and we try to ascertain whether or not they're properly poorly rated, or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. And that's Cinephobe wherever you find podcasts. Yes. And so, Adam, we did The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard, which is a movie you produced.
I love it. Yes.
And full disclosure, Adam, I went into this movie. I'd never seen it before. I went into this movie thinking, I'm going to hate this and I'm going to rip it to shreds. And let me tell you, I loved that shit. That was a good movie. It was a good movie. The cast is amazing. The supporting cast is amazing. Like it turned me.
Is this your first time doing the podcast, Zach? When do we give out the result up front?
Maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm lying to the celebrity.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'm doing.
He is a show.
But no, it's good. Live Hard, Sell Hard.
We got what was the Rotten Tomatoes score on that one? Just to refresh my memory, I know it wasn't good.
Strong 27% from the critics.
27% from critics.
And you know what? The audience didn't like it.
To the comedies, though. They will do that to the comedies, and especially because that supporting cast, which you're right, is fantastic. A lot of them weren't that famous when we made it, and then became famous. So when you don't got that big name in the lead, the critics can kind of like go, okay, I'm going to give this one some shots. And you just never know with the comedies whose sense of humor is going to be what. And that was definitely one we got. I'm going to say we got dinged too hard on that one because I really sincerely like that movie too. We produce a lot of stuff. Sometimes you do your best and it doesn't always come out right. That was one where I really thought it came out right. I felt really good about it. And I remember being a little shocked that it got that level of hate. And it's directed, of course, by the great and brilliant Neal Brennan.
Right.
Someone we'll be talking to perhaps in a little bit.
Who knows?
Maybe. Stay tuned.
I love it.
You never know.
So, Adam, here's my question to you. The movie came out and the same weekend, District 9, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra,
Ooh.
The Time Traveler's Wife, Julia and Julia, and G-Force all opened with a bigger box office. G-Force, if you remember, was the movie about hamsters in space. It made $300 million global box office.
Wow.
You guys made
I honestly
15.
don't know if you're kidding. Did that movie really make $300 million?
Yeah.
Not only did it make $300 million, but it rated higher on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I mean, I guess you're up against there's only been, a few hundred movies about hamsters in space. So the competition isn't that thick.
Right. Cliche for a reason.
Maybe a few dozen movies about hamsters in space.
You mean the top 3?
I can only think about 20 off the top of my head.
Rank them.
So maybe they were grading against a curve on that one. But yeah, we were a low budget movie. We made it through the old Paramount Vantage label. They had done No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood. They had done a lot of Oscar movies. And they decided to try. We kind of pitched them on this idea that, look, you don't need to spend $50 million on a comedy. You can make one for under 20. If it's funny as hell, it's going to work. And I don't know if it quite worked.
You made money. You were in the green. You were in the black, I should say.
I think we were in the green. When all was said and done, someone at Paramount told me we did end up in the green. But most importantly, it is a funny movie.
What's the most expensive part about making that movie?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I'm going to say there's a riot, I believe, at one point.
Yeah.
And I think there's an alligator involved in it. That's got to be the most expensive part. I'm trying to think what else.
I was wondering.
No, that's got to be it. I think a dude, I actually was a guy who got his arms ripped off. I don't know if it ends up in the final movie. There was an alligator. A bunch of hell broke loose in this riot scene. And we must have recreated the Smokey and the Bandit car, and that probably cost a little bit of dough because you had to paint the car. Otherwise, it was just all property rental. It was not a super pricey movie.
Hey, am I on yet?
You are on. That's Neal Brennan, director of The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard.
McKay, you know what's hilarious? I just tuned in and I couldn't hear you, but this is what you look like. So then I unmute you and you're like, the movie works. Ultimately, I think the movie works. Like, I'm assuming he's talking about The Goods and not Anchorman, because it's pretty clear Anchorman works.
The Goods were actually saying, damn funny movie.
Oh, yeah. If you're just talking about like jokes per capita.
Well, it had a little point of view to it. I'm gonna support your work here. I'm gonna say it's
Thank you.
Right when the U.S. economy was crashing, and it's kind of about like a lot sale. America's on the ropes. It's got that bravado. I think like you captured that spirit quite well, and a ton of funny jokes, including what I rank as the funniest ADR line in history, which is Ving Rhames saying,
I'm waiting to be canceled for that.
It was him saying, looking at the lot, which was a mess, the car lot, and he says, it looks like the bus station from Total Recall. And I laughed for 2 years. Neal dropped that line.
Totally.
Like, Neal, that's the funniest ADR line in the history of ADR lines.
I thought you were going to talk about when he said James Vanderbeek, my N-word.
Right, yeah.
I thought that was what you were going for.
That was Amin Al Hassan saying that. I just want to make sure.
That's very funny. That's very funny about I completely forgot about that. Not to be one of those showbiz people like, did I write that? Well, that's actually funny.
No, that is, I swear to God, I've cited it because we had a good one in Step Brothers. We had your voice sounds like a combination of Fergie and Jesus.
Yeah, that's
which got a nice laugh. But when people talk about ADR, the line I quote that made me laugh the hardest looks like the bus station from Total Recall.
That is very funny. Thank you very much for reminding me.
No, I think you got short tripped on that movie. That's a damn funny, rock solid movie. Here's a little trivia on it though. One critic picked it on their top 10 list of best films for the year. And I think it was the NPR critic. And I saw it on the list. I was like, wait, what's going on? And I went and read it.
So it's a typo.
And the guy just got it. Like the guy understood that it was America falling apart. Everything must go. The machismo, the bravado. Like he dissected it in that way only French critics do with comedies. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, he thought it was funny as hell. So it was on one top 10 list.
Now, Adam, did he also have G-Force on his list?
I think that was on like 70% of the list that year. I mean, of course. I don't think you get the premise. Hamsters aren't usually in space. I mean, you have to get that to kind of get into the movie, but it's an uncommon thing for hamsters to be in space.
That's so crazy. I literally was like, what the hell is G-Force? And now it's coming back to me piece by piece. First I saw the hamsters. Then I saw where they were. They're in space.
Yeah.
Who did the voices? That feels like a big payday for somebody.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, we got to find that out. We got to get into that.
I'm on it.
I think it's Benedict Cumberbatch, Julianne Moore, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and they did
and Seth Green.
Close.
Seth Green.
Yeah, that's
Seth Green. Yeah, Seth Green's definitely in there. He's got to be in there.
We're doing this for COVID awareness. What are we doing this for?
For awareness for our podcast, Cinephobe. Which is the podcast.
They both start with C's.
Yeah.
I think it's the Florida Republican National Party, right?
No. That's offensive. It's just Ron DeSantis. We're just trying to make sure that he stays as long as possible. Yeah.
Cut out the middleman. Give it right to Ron.
Exactly. Just give it right
Neal's
to Ron.
Big DeSantis guy. I'm more of a Rick Scott guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm big on trying to kill people. So, like, I just think that he's the guy for it.
I got my Gates DeSantis 2024 shirt.
Sure.
If you guys want to.
Isn't it the other way around?
If you guys want a piece of that. Did Gates actually say, McKay, this sounds like it's something you would write. He said, I exchange money for naughty favors. So what?
No, he didn't.
I swear, somebody Google this. I think he said it 2 weeks ago, and it just got no traction.
Whoa.
Matt Gaetz, naughty favors.
Well, that's a tough search. I wouldn't just search that. Maybe throw some quotes in there.
Not my computer.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it means like fart jokes or like poop jokes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like naughty in like the second grade sense.
Like Magic Store.
And the money is like bubblegum money. Yeah, it could be much. He really said that? That is incredible.
I swear, yeah. Anything on that, Jonathan?
Yes, this is according to Newsweek. Matt Gaetz describes sexual misconduct claims against him as, quote, naughty favors. Says under the fire, Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz has allegedly equated the serious sexual misconduct allegations levied against him as exchanging money for naughty favors.
Wow. I like
be great.
I mean, legally that's correct.
You just put your crime in the second grade language.
Yeah.
It's not murder. It's I gave Frowny Man a boo-boo.
Yeah. Yes, a boo-boo. And then it'd be funny if the jury just went all the way with it. Like in the above entitled action regarding naughty favors, you have to go to timeout for 5 years.
To Spofford Correctional Timeout Facility. Yeah.
To Broward County Timeout Facility.
My theory on Getz is that he's padding his resume, that it's all of this crap is so he can run for president on the RNC ticket, because none of what he's getting busted on is a liability in that party currently. Let's just go hardcore political for this.
That's what we were hoping this would turn into. So thank you guys for
playing. Angry, passionate,
right?
Cutting people off. You guys aren't hearing me. Stuff like that.
You just don't get it, Neal.
I feel like we need like 3 more people, 3 more boxes, right? Have you ever watched on CNN? They always have like 17 people on the dais at the same time,
right? So
yeah. McKay, are you doing? You probably donate a lot of money, right, to these places?
Which ones?
Like the DNC and shit?
I'm a little mad at the DNC of late. So I stopped giving to the DNC proper, but I will give to certain candidates. And if it's really an ugly, hairy race, I'll hold my nose and give to like a corporate Dem, just because I hate, the Republicans so much. So I definitely like donated against Susan Collins and like people like that, just out of personal vindictiveness. Yeah. But no, I usually I go more the Act Blue, the kind of progressive road. And then this last year, I got a little down on the whole money thing in general. So I started really thinking like no one should be allowed to give more than $200. So I started giving more to organizations that were trying to just get money out of politics. There's a group called Represent Us that I work with a lot. That's really good. That's just
and you saved an ass load of money this year, right? On that fake cheat that you told yourself.
That little spiel I just gave you saved me 300 large, my friend. That's why I got a Tesla pickup truck. I just got to say the shit I said to you a bunch, and I saved a fortune.
And it's wonderful, and it was just the one rationalization, and it changed my entire year.
Let's get into PAC law. And election laws about association. Guys, is that where you want to go next?
Yeah, you guys just get movie podcasts. Yeah. Like you understand where it's going.
Thank you for giving me and McKay what can only be called a prime slot. 1:30 to 1:45 a.m.
We were told this was a prime slot.
This is we're basically meter maids. This isn't even radio. This is podcast meter maids.
It's live.
It's YouTube. Pretty well. McKay, did you see the poster? They did the thing where they put they go in order of popularity, like Charles Barkley, and then you, me, and Cher are like fucking, if there's any doubt about where writers are, even great writers are in the pecking order of really a Florida show business. It's not good.
Yeah, we were billed like terms of use. That was about the size of our building.
Fine
I
print.
did see that.
The finest of print.
Right.
Neal, I got a question.
Let's get back to movies. Do you want to talk about documentaries dealing with election law?
Absolutely. Well, I'm curious, Adam, this may be a dumb question, but what do you do as a producer? Is it just you write a check and you're like, go do shit with this? Like, what is a producer's job?
There's about 50 different kinds of producers that exist, and Neal can attest to this. There's like the kind of confident in the room producer who's, got like statement hair and like shakes everyone's hand and like has dinner with people. There's the actual nuts and bolts producers who do like the budget and like finagle and figure out all the stuff with the line producer and kind of grind it out. There's producers who like handle talent and like have talent relationships. There's producers that know all the department heads, or then there's producers that like cultivate screenwriters that just go, hey, good scripts are the way you get into that. The obvious joke is, of course, I'm none of those. But no, I'm more of a guy who works. I like developing writers. I like identifying material. And then I kind of go in and I vouch for the people that you're bringing in. So I go in and say, Neal Brennan's one of the funniest guys around, which fortunately he is. Or I go in and say, Jesse Armstrong, Succession, we should do this. I'll direct the pilot. So you kind of vouch for stuff and then you oversee it and make sure it doesn't go off the rails. And then you jump in as a writer. You can jump in for casting, for helping with directing. So
it used to be for Amin and Zach, like it used to be, there would just be these producers who didn't really know. Before Judd and McKay, the producers were never funny. They were just guys who would go like, I remember a guy, I remember there was a guy who had produced, I want to say Dumb and Dumber, don't quote me, but me and Chappelle were at the Sky Bar, which is a big bar in Hollywood. This is in the 90s. And a guy saw Dave and goes, I loved you when, what was your last picture? He literally said, I loved you in what was your last picture? So like these guys they just knew that guy's hot. And then now the great thing about the reason like kind of movies have gotten actually funnier and less kind of goofy premisey, 80s and 90s goofy premisey, like a guy who drinks a potion and turns into whatever, is because Adam and Judd and Sandler to a lesser extent, but like actually funny people are in charge of what comedies get made. Instead of now McKay's moved on to deciding what financial wry sexy dramas get made. Right. Psychosexual. We'll go with psychosexual, McKay.
I like how you got sexy in there. Like I'm wrong. In fact, because you said that, I'm going to make a super sexy financial drama next. A lot of stuff. I mean,
there's something sexy about Succession, right? Like it's like, I don't know, not that would make it interesting. You know,
I know what you mean. Well, I think that kind of high price, kind of penthouse living. I think money just has inherent sex. I think you just said more about yourself than anything that's going on around.
Probably, but isn't that what podcasting is all about at the end of the day?
I'm just glad we're away from the 80s and 90s from those ridiculous premise movies, and we get things like, Little Nicky. And that's my
that was
that's actually Little Nicky's pretty. I think Little Nicky's actually kind of funny. It's an underrated one. Here was my premise, Neal, during the peak of the body switching movies. It was a guy who worked at a video store. This is how old this idea is. This idea is 25 years old.
Yep.
And he was super cynical, and he's going through all the movies, bitching about all the movies where someone drinks a potion and can't tell a lie. Someone switches bodies so they can understand their child. Someone, a rainbow goes through them so then they have a heart. And he's taken all the movies off the shelf and he's like, we're not going to rent any of this crap anymore. And he fills them. There's like 50 of them, puts them in a box, and he's putting them on the shelf and they fall and hit him in the head. Mm-hmm. And
nobody saw that. Nobody would have seen that coming.
It's 25 years old. I mean,
no, I'm kidding.
It's like a forkball in a sports metaphor.
The Ephus pitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made a lot of those, man. That was the big thing in the 80s and 90s was those kinds of movies. Are we supposed to be talking about the goods, by the way? Because Neal and I can definitely shoot the shit for hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think people would rather you guys shoot the shit than us ask you questions. But I'm happy to talk about the goods if you guys are into that. Like, what was the toughest casting decision for that movie? Because I'm sure you wanted a lot of people in there.
They were all sort of obvious. It felt like, you know what I mean? It just felt like, yeah, him. It was like Catherine Hahn had been in Step Brothers, so she had been in maybe Step Brothers hadn't come out.
Hahn was someone, she actually went and did like some network show for 7 years, so we hadn't heard of her because we hadn't seen the show.
Crossing Jordan.
Oh my God, man. That's
was that a real answer or was that a joke answer? I don't know.
I only really know that because I was watching dailies at my house and I had a friend over and she was like, oh, that's the girl from Crossing Jordan. I was like, what? I had no idea. I'd seen promos for Crossing Jordan forever. McKay, you'll enjoy this. I do a thing now when people ask me what I'm up to. I tell them that I'm on. There's so many shows now you can just make shows up. So I say I'm third lead on a show called X-Ray Tech.
Oh, I love that show.
Which is about an X-ray technician who solves crimes.
I'm going to say 80% of the people you tell that to think it's real.
Great show.
Why? How could they find out that it's not? There's too many. Just say it's on Apple TV.
I'm on a show called Apple Ridge. And it's just about like a bunch of young people who grew up in this area, kind of in the middle of the country. And I'm the social studies teacher, and I have like 4 lines every episode, and I crack a joke.
Yeah, and your daughters love you for it.
They love me for it. It makes them happy. It's on the CW. Yeah. Like
I don't even know if the CW still exists.
It's got to.
I honestly have no idea. Yeah.
Where else will I watch a drama about Archie and Jughead?
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the CW?
That's the CW. That's where you get it.
Okay. I've heard of that. But I only, I've heard of that because of the comic, because I grew up on it.
Is USA Network? USA Network still around?
No, that can't be it. I think it's just wrestling.
That's where they show hockey highlights.
Right.
They do. They still do that USA Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried. They still do that. McKay, do you know? Last time I saw it was Elvira and Gilbert Gottfried.
Are both of them still with us?
I think they are both still with us.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they're still with us.
All right, good.
Yeah, they would host TV shows, and it was totally entertainment free.
That's tough to do. That's hard to do.
They would I don't know what they would just cut a commercial and then have them do wraparounds for 30 seconds. It was awful. It was, it's so bad.
Can I tell you the absolute high point of all of network television? When we were at SNL, one of the guys who was in charge of late night, God, I can't remember his name, Gary something. He got in charge of late night. He used to run parking at Burbank. By the way, God bless him. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But anyway, there was a Friday night video show that used to be on.
Sure.
And he figured out that the show kind of couldn't lose money because it was so cheap. So he got his wife to host it. And every Friday night you would see the show, and then he would have his wife sing songs. And his wife wasn't really particularly famous. She was just kind of a pretty lady who could sing a little bit. And she would show videos and then sing like a couple songs. And that was Friday night videos for like 2 years. And he just slipped it under the radar. And I would ask everyone, like, how is this show on? Like, what's going on? They're like, there's not losing money in that time slot. But yeah, that was when you knew.
And a little known trivia, their son, Carson Daly, same thing.
Yep.
They gave birth to Carson Daly, and then that's how that happened.
Right. Well, speaking of fake people, I've got a question for you guys. The writers Andy Stock and Rick Stempson, are these real people? Because they don't have an IMDb like catalog other than this movie and like one other short thing.
They're definitely real guys. I mean, we rewrote it, but they were really nice guys. I've not seen them since that. Neal, do you once or twice a year meet them
Yeah, a couple times a year.
Hockey game?
Guys, come on out. They're going to join us.
This is so cool.
Method Man. No one saw this coming. And they're...
Adam's actually been lying on them the whole time.
Didn't they live in Omaha or something? They lived in the middle of the country. And I don't know if they weren't interested in coming out. I bet they would have been interested. I guess we never made the overture that we hoped we would make. We just, guys, when you get to shooting, guys, filmmaking is war, and things happen, and invitations get lost, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Let's just focus on the ones that did make it to Alhambra, where we shot. And
that's no joke, by the way. That is where the movie was shot, Alhambra.
Yeah. It's a section of LA. Do
you know most stories I remember from this movie, Neal, are what's his name? The older character actor who was in the Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Sorry, it's contagious, name spacing, but he's the guy who runs the country western band. We're the good old boys in the Blues Brothers.
Charles Durning.
And what is it?
Charles Durning?
Nope.
No.
Thanks, Roy.
That was stupid.
Charles Durning, you're thinking of Tootsie, but that's okay.
Guys, you can look it up. If you,
I like this
Rick
better.
Stempson
This is better.
And Andy Stock. Go ahead.
Anyway,
he played Dick Lewiston.
Yes.
The funny thing was, he got hammered at the premiere, and I had to walk him back to his room.
Charles Napier.
Charles Napier. Yep. I had to walk him back to his room. And then, McKay, this is so fucking funny. So he would call me every 6 months and he'd be drunk, and he'd try to convince me that we had to make a movie about Merrill Haggard.
Oh, I love that.
But he meant it. He's like, Neal, man, I'm telling you what, man, we gotta make this movie about Merrill, man, because he's dying, man. We got to do this before he goes.
Oh.
And I couldn't explain to him, dude, I can't get a fucking. I'll be lucky if I directed another comedy, let alone a Merrill Haggard biopic.
That should be a wake up service you can get at hotel rooms. Charles Napier. I am so jealous that you got 3 or 4 of those calls. That is.
I remember he said, another quote that I remember is, they got they put on there. He was talking about the Marvel movies, and he goes, they put on their costumes and their big monster boots clomping around.
Not wrong.
It was incredible. It was nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, he really was. It was all old school Hollywood stories where they would all end with, so I punched him in the jaw, picked up his hand, lifted him off the ground. We walked off set and we didn't come back for 3 days. And, and we didn't sleep or stop drinking for 3 days. And then you're kind of like, oh, that's awesome. And then you think about actually what happened, which is 2 grown men assaulted each other and then gave themselves alcohol poisoning and cost a production hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of them was Robert Mitchum.
Oh, he had a lot of Mitchum stories.
He did have a lot. He used to call him Dad. I called him Dad. It was if you guys remember the Bill Brasky sketch that McKay wrote, it was just like a live Bill Brasky.
So good, man. Lots of Robert Mitchum stories. Yeah, he was Robert Mitchum's. What do? They put a sheep with a racehorse to keep the racehorse calm when you transport.
Sheepdog, yes.
Yeah, and he was Mitchum's guy like that, except as far as I can tell, every story, that whole concept did not work because usually he just went with them and drank for 3 days. So, yeah.
Like Bob, he didn't have to twist my arm. Bob would just give me a look and I knew it was time.
That was Mitchum's sober buddy. Was a guy who liked to drink just a little bit less than he did.
Yeah. I worked for the rehab facility. Just did a really horrible job.
Charles Napier, legendary. Legendary.
Yeah.
That was definitely a highlight.
Jordan. Craig Robinson was very funny. The DJ request, that's a very funny idea.
Yeah,
that made me laugh. Yeah.
The guy who just would not play what he would ask for requests and then specifically not play them. That's a very funny joke.
Nobody tells DJ requests to play.
Keckner was very, very funny. Could improvise all day long.
Yep. And
Riggle.
Who else? Yeah, Riggle.
Yeah. Playing the child.
Yeah, it was funny people. And what's his name? The guy who's married to Barbara Streisand.
James Brolin.
James Brolin.
Yeah.
Oh
James
my God.
Brolin. God damn it. James Brolin.
Funny moments in that movie, man. Yeah, the casting was kind of like went as well as it could go as far as like we kind of got quality people for all those roles. And then we had a nice, like, pretty sizable cameo from Farrell where he killed it too.
All right. I literally forget about that.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, I have your arm on a trophy. It's mounted on a trophy and it's above my toilet.
Oh my God.
In the guest room, where you keep the funny stuff. The guest bathroom, you jump it up. My bathroom's for serious achievements.
So, you mentioned James Brolin, and there was one negative review of this movie that I actually found very funny, which said, and maybe you guys will disagree, but the funniest thing about The Goods is that the presence of James Brolin pretty much ensures that Barbara Streisand will have to watch it at least once.
Saw it happen.
You did?
Saw it happen.
Oh, that's good.
She was in the. I'll never forget it. She said it was cute.
Oh wow!
Is that a good thing?
I don't know.
I think go fuck yourself. From what I can tell, I'm doing the math on this, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's definitely
I don't see what choice I have to. The next thing I have to say is go fuck yourself. And Alan Thicke was incredibly funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, Alan Thicke is great in it. Yeah.
Yes.
And Ed
Alan
Helms,
Thicke,
a little, a young, almost rookie season Eddie Helms, choking up on the bat, flashing a good glove.
Yeah, he would get to. If we were started shooting at 6 a.m., he'd get there at 5, even if he wasn't shooting till 1 in the afternoon. He was just excited to be there.
Yeah. Now he's dead. Now you look in his eyes and he's just dead.
Yeah. He's just looking at the, you know what's funny? Bing, this is McKay. I don't know if I ever told you this. We were shooting, guys, when you shoot driving scenes, you have to, and Jeremy had a monologue in a minivan. And so you have to drive the same route over and over so that when he says the line, it probably matches the background. And Ving tried to convince me that he didn't need to be in the third take, anything past the third take, because he's like, I had my eyes closed anyway, Neal.
Oh, that's a veteran.
Yeah, he thought I'd be like, yeah. You know what? You don't. If your eyes are closed, if you're not seeing the scene, then the scene can't see you. You're free to go, sir.
That's good math.
Jedi mind trick.
Yeah. I like that.
I did do a fucking hilarious thing when we were doing those scenes and we'd be driving back to the starting mark. I made an offer. I go, if any of you guys would like to try Jeremy's monologue yourself, go ahead and do it. No one took up the offer. By the way, Neal, I'm gonna brag a little bit on the movie a little bit more. Legitimately good ending for a comedy, which is hard, where they have to do a salesman to salesman lot sale, and he's got to sell Helms the Smokey and the Bandit car. Like, actually a pretty clever ending for a movie about salesmen, and pretty well done too. And kind of, because that's the hardest thing with these comedies is you have to have a happy ending. Like, legally you're bound to do it. And that was actually like a fairly clever, satisfying ending. I mean, this is me saying it. You know what's the funny joke of that? There's a few funny jokes, but I I think we ended up using this take where I had Catherine Hahn say, if he sells this car, I'll eat my own pussy.
Oh yeah, that's in the movie. That is in the movie.
Yeah. And for the ADR, for the clean version, I said, if he sells his car, I'll eat my own peanuts, which means nothing.
Right.
Now,
or it's way dirtier than the original one.
Yeah, exactly. The thing where when he does the parachute down and then what's his name is walking behind him.
TJ Miller.
TJ Miller is connected to him for the first 10 feet. And then Jeremy stops and says, would you get him? Jeremy's he's like, all right, yeah, I'll get out of here. That was funny. Yeah, there was a bunch of funny stuff in that. And then
late third act laughs in a comedy are very difficult.
Why is
you're
that?
wrapping up all your story points. And
you are truly working against the clock. Like Mike Myers said, he's like, at about 45 minutes in a comedy, start the clock. People want to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of, although your Anchorman's are around 90, right?
Anchorman's 90. I think the longest one we did was Other Guys was like 145. But that's, I don't think we ever hit 150. Yeah, they're all around 90, 95, 140. They all live around there. But the endings are always the big thing. That's always what we talked about, was how do we do an ending that isn't just completely jive? Like, how do you do, like our most happy one we ever had was Ricky Bobby cannot win the race. And how do we have him win without winning? Like, because it's just too late that he wins the race. And Step Brothers, we wanted it to be a happy ending, but still deranged and demented. And,
I think Step Brothers is the weirdest ending. Like, the Catalina wine mixer is so fucking funny and insane. Like, an insane idea. As a thing, like, meet me at the Catalina wine mixer. It's just so insane. And then there's Dakota with the treehouse, which that wasn't a reshoot, right?
That actually was a reshoot because we had an even crazier ending, which is still in the movie where they go fight the kids.
Yeah.
And
that's my favorite joke of yours, maybe ever. They make Will eat the white poop, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that the poop was white is the craziest detail. It's so insane and so wonderful.
And you know what I learned later? It's kind of an East Coast, or it's a geographic thing. Like, there are certain areas in the country where the old dog poop doesn't turn white. And I met some people that were like, what do you mean by white? Like, the other one is that Will bumped into Randy Jackson at an airport, and Randy Jackson told him he had signed like 36 samurai swords through the years because of the we just become best friends scene too. So these are the things that movies do to you, where weird shit like Charles Napier's bizarre stories about getting hammered 50 years ago stick to you. So yeah, white dog poop is definitely one.
White dog poop is such an insane detail. I have a mean one that we did on Chappelle's Show. I feel like I told you this before. We did a sketch where Sally Jesse, you know when Sally Jesse Raphael would send kids to boot camp?
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela.
We did it. It was, the boot camp was run by Nelson Mandela. I don't know why it didn't work. And
freedom.
So all the kids at the boot camp are wearing Mandela's boot camp t-shirts. And I remembered from when I was in camp, if you were too fat, they would have to put you just in an adult shirt because they didn't get any large children sizes. So I made the fat kid in the sketch, wear just a white t-shirt because he was too big for the imaginary logic of the fake t-shirts. So that's you have white poop. I have fat shaming a kid back in the early 2000s, back when we could do that.
It's all trauma. It's all pain. And we turned it into joy and laughter. So
yes, that's right.
What does it feel like? Both of you guys have created stuff that have found a life of its own on T-shirts and people just yelling out stuff in the street. What does that feel like when you see your art live on as part of mainstream pop culture?
McKay, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll go first.
My answer is a very boring one, which is it's the weirdest goddamn thing when it first starts happening. And I'll never forget, I was with my wife at a bar on Vine because the Actors Gang used to be up there, and we had seen a play, or we were going to go see a play, and we went to get a beer, and Anchorman had only just come out a couple months before, and someone said, I thought they were looking right at me, 60% of the time it works every time. And I laughed and went, oh yeah, back at them. But then I realized they weren't talking to me. They were talking to someone else. Oh, no. And then I realized, I'm the director. They wouldn't recognize me anyway. And they were just using that line in conversation. And those are the weirdest ones where people say it almost just like a part of language.
Right. There's something kind of scary about it at first.
It kind of is, because like our behavior and the way we think can be affected that easily. And yet it's also wonderful because it's absurd and it means people connected with this jackass joke that you had. But it is really, really strange hearing people after Step Brothers. I heard people walk by me on the street quoting lines, like saying a line. And it was like, threw me out of my reality for a second. But the craziest one of all was after the Saints won the Super Bowl. I'm reading in the paper and just reading the article to see about the Saints winning the Super Bowl. I think it was the Saints. And one of the players comes in the locker room right after they win and yells, "It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer." And every player yells back, "It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer." And you're like, that's just, yeah, it's incredible.
But there's something where you're like, how did that happen? Like we filmed it. And then you can't even do the math on it. Like I remember, if I may tell my version of that, so there I was, sitting at the craps table. No, I remember hearing Rick James, we had done the taping for Rick James, but it hadn't aired yet. And Chappelle's wife was at a restaurant and heard people saying, "I'm Rick James, bitch," before it aired. Because they had gone to the taping. Where we showed it. And I was like, that confused me. And then somebody said, I was in Vegas and people at the craps table kept yelling, "I'm Rick James, bitch." And my first question was, why?
Wow.
Like, why were they doing that?
Well, you didn't know.
And then to your point, McKay, there was another thing where somebody, I think a congressperson said, insurrection is a hell of a drug.
Oh my God.
Like after January 6th. And I had to like look it up because I was like, what? Somebody said that?
That's real?
I believe they said in the halls of Congress.
Wait,
wow. That might be the best one I've ever heard. That's pretty crazy. As far as high stakes places for someone to quote or check something like that is really the almost overthrow of American democracy, and a thing you helped create was referenced. Like that's insane. It also says a lot about our society in ways that are really boring that I think we should go into in depth right now.
I think if this is first of all, this is the hour to do it in.
So can we play some excerpts from Adam Curtis documentaries and then we'll just talk about them?
Let's do voiceover for stuff we didn't direct. That's so fucking. That's also a funny thing with their age, McKay, where they were like probably 8 when Step Brothers came out.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I mean, some of them. Kamara,
well,
25.
Saints win. Yeah, they're probably they were teenagers, definitely are young teenagers, 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
Hit them right in the spot.
I mean, that one more than anything we've ever been involved in is like timeless because it's so juvenile, and it's like a 4-year-old and a 60-year-old can enjoy it, So, yeah, but goddamn, that's a good one. The insurrection with Step Brothers. Did you guys feel like it's got an essence in the same way like Napoleon Dynamite has an essence, where it's like, 6th grade the movie? How did you guys get it from? What was the idea, and how did you get it into like a movie? Yeah, the basic idea was just we wanted to do another movie with John C. Reilly because we loved him in Talladega Nights. So we sat around for 2 days kicking around ideas. And I just said, this is all execution based. You have to do it right, because otherwise this is the worst idea ever. But you guys as grown-ups who still live at home and your parents get married. And I just keep seeing you guys in bunk beds, but playing it real, like playing it straight faced, like this is the way life has taken us. Yeah. And both of them were just like, yeah, let's do that idea. And that was it. And then we wrote a 200-page script because we couldn't stop writing it. It was so enjoyable. But it was also just like weird. And you know this, like all of us know this. When we were kids, the idea that grown men could openly like be into comic books or video games, or like that was another weird thing that was going on where like you could be 40, 50 years old and drinking like slushies and playing video games. So that was also part of it too, was just America took a turn. Like my grandfather would have wanted to punch everyone right now. And so that was also part of it.
Charles Napier would have wanted to punch everybody.
How cool the idea of that. Like when I'm an adult, you're going to see. Like you'll see. I remember me and a buddy of mine in like 4th grade were going to split a Trans Am. Like we were going to like co-own a Trans Am. That was like a viable idea. Like it was a viable thing that we were going to do. Honest to God, you should go do it and make it happen right now. For real. Something would happen. You'd have a feeling you didn't know you could have. Like, or at least you could make a really C- documentary about it that actually is like a gross Hollywood kind of stroke job, like how they always make them about record company heads from the 70s. And you're like, who cares? The guy didn't play any of the music. But I think you should go call it Splitting the Trans Am by Neal Brennan. My brother and sister had, they had a car, and whoever was in the car when it broke down had to pay for the repairs.
Oh no!
Oh, that's good.
So they would like push the car into the driveway and act like it was fine.
So it's like putting the milk carton back when there's heart.
That's exactly what it was.
Just a little bit.
Yes. And then now you're responsible for getting. Now it's your job.
My big thing when I was in 3rd grade, I said like a promise to myself. I remember saying to my parents, like, so when I'm an adult, I'm going to have money like you have money. And they're like, yeah, you'll have a job, you'll have money. And I'm like, how do I make it so that when I'm an adult, I still want to buy like 40 G.I. Joes and like realistic looking tanks and fill a whole room with like G.I. Joe tank battles. And they just laughed. And that made me more sad and depressed. And I was like, I can't ever lose this want I have. And you know what? I don't give a shit about G.I. Joes now. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but like that spirit lives on though.
Glory days in the twinkle of
but no, there's something. This is not an adult's job.
Not remotely.
And then he's gonna come in with swords, and then like the young son is like, I want the company, and the old guy's like, no, fuck you. And we have to get a real office, a real skyscraper. That's not how I pictured you walking in. Try it again.
You wouldn't say it like that.
Yeah, it sounds childish when you say it like
Say
a
it
child.
cool, like I saw it in my head.
You have to.
We got to do a movie where Wolverine actually kills people and there's blood. Oh, fuck, they already made it. Cool.
All right, sweet. That's awesome, man.
Any other questions for us, gents? Or have we been at all useful or helpful?
This has been tremendous. Neal, this movie was the only feature film you've ever directed. Why?
Well, guys, a thing happens when a movie doesn't do well. And what happens is they don't know how to do forensics on why things don't work, right? So they looked at me, Jeremy, Will, and Adam, and they said, Will and Adam, you're free to go. Jeremy and Neal, you get in those cells, those jail cells. And Neal, you're gonna, it's actually hilarious because I was thinking of trying to think of anecdotes for this. I went to a tarot card reader or something, like some kind of medium, before maybe 6 months before the movie came out. And the guy was like, he said like numbers, like does 5.4 mean something to you? I think that's what it opened at, 5.4 million.
Oh,
but he goes, you got a movie coming out? I go, I have a movie that I directed that's coming out. And he goes, yeah, this one's not going to do it. Keep at it.
Wow.
Which is fucking hilarious. And but it's like whatever. I'm a comedian. I do good.
Neal could do stuff. I called Neal a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, because I've always thought way back when Neal's one of the funniest people walking around and sharp as hell, and he's got a little worldview too, which I always appreciate. And I called him 2 years ago because he was on fire. And basically we had a nice chat, but Neal's upshot was I'm really loving what I'm doing. So now Neal could direct and write if he wanted to.
Yeah, I never got the impression that I directed a ton of commercials too. That's a very good living.
So you're not director jail doesn't really exist like it used to. We were working with, the great filmmaker Alex Cox, who did Sid and Nancy and one of my favorite movies of all time, Repo Man. That guy legitimately got put in director's jail. He did that movie Walker. It went way over budget. He did Straight to Hell. And they would not let him. Back in the 80s, into the 90s, they really would put you in director jail. Nowadays, people are a little cooler about it because there's a lot of stuff getting made. People would actually go watch the goods if they were going to hire Neal, and they would actually go, this is funny. But back then, they did not screw around.
Neal.
Yeah, it's also, movies are a big commitment. And if it's not burning a hole in your soul, I did the movie because I wanted to hang out with Will and Adam, honestly. But, and this has been probably the longest time I've ever spent with Adam, which is pretty sad. And, but that's, unless it takes a year. So if you don't, if it's not personal, it's kind of let me do some personal shit. And that's why I do Sprite commercials.
Nothing more personal than Sprite.
That's why I do Chase commercials with Kevin Hart, because that means telling the story of Kevin going to the mailbox and finding a credit card with the Chase with Freedumb rewards. You get 3% cash back on travel and drugstores. And I wanted to tell that story. And then because I saw it, I'm Kevin's neighbor, and I saw it happen. And I promised him, Kevin, I'm going to tell this story.
What's harder?
He's like, and they'll pay me a shitload of money. I was like, I'll make sure of it. And they did.
You should write that as a book. You really should.
Neal,
I know that. Yes.
What's harder? What's harder, bombing on stage or having your movie bomb?
That's a tough one.
I've actually
having
bombed
your movie bomb. Having your movie bomb is a slower, longer burn. like it still bums me. You know what I mean? Like it still burns a little bit. Whereas if I bombed 3 nights ago, I'm like, I'll do another one. Whereas it takes a year to make it. So you're just pushing this rock up a hill, and then it starts rolling back.
I was a bad stand-up back in Philly. I used to do stand-up with Paul F. Tompkins in my late teens, early 20s. So I bombed, oh my God, like a good 14, 15 times. Nice. Like people flicking bottle caps at me, bomb. Nice. Having a movie or a project that you've worked really hard on is worse, because Neal's 100% right. It's a slow burn. It's a larger realization. Yeah, definitely tough. I do think it helps though if what you made is good. Like, and I did feel like I don't. Yeah, The Goods is a good movie, and I remember being pissed when like critics were going after it. I think I was like openly hostile on Twitter. Like, what the fuck? This movie's funny. Like, I was outraged.
Yeah. Have you ever tracked anyone down, Adam? Like, hey, how'd you write this about my shit?
No, because McKay's got 8 fucking raves for every one bomb.
No, you gotta stop yourself at that point. And one of the greatest joys I ever had was I did have a critic take back a bad review.
Oh, what happened there?
I had that happen once, and I've never experienced that before. But no, you gotta take them in the gut. You gotta take it like a body shot and just move on. It goes with it. It would be a little sad and sweaty. You'd be like George C. Scott in Hardcore if you did that, like crazed and on a mission. So no, I've never done that.
Well, which movie was that?
What's your favorite sketch that you worked on? SNL.
God, I was just telling someone about, I wrote a sketch, commercial parody called Old Glory Insurance, that was insurance for the elderly against being attacked by robots. And Sam Waters, it was like one of those.
Yeah, wasn't it in like 3 or 4 parts?
Yeah, it had like, it had different scenarios of the elderly being attacked by robots. And Sam Waterston just played it so straight. It was one of the first things I ever got made on SNL. So I still have like crazy just fondness for that. And I remember just being blown away, kind of like you were saying with Step Brothers, that like this ridiculous idea from 3 a.m. actually got made and is now on television. So what about you?
It was taped though, right? I mean, it was pre-taped, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was a commercial parody shot by Signorelli back in the day, like 95. It's online. It's Sam Waterston that hosted, or he's the reverse mortgage kind of guy. And then this robot is just terrorizing elderly people and eating their medicine for fuel. And
I remember that sketch and going like, this is crazy. I couldn't believe it was on television.
Yeah.
It was like an insane thing to me.
What about you? Because you guys had so many moments on Chappelle that were moments like, I can't believe I'm seeing this on television. Are there any that
the one I liked the best was it was one where Chappelle was explaining why he could never do jury duty.
He made Thriller.
And we just went through 5 different scenarios. It was like the Michael Jackson trial, OJ, where he said, why did the LAPD study Nicole's? Why did they solve Nicole's murder and not Biggie and Tupac? Nicole Simpson can't rap. Just fucking crazy shit.
Well, one of those lines from that you guys mentioned, you hear people say, something I say all the time is some people say cucumbers taste better pickled.
Cucumbers taste better pickled. Huh? What? Huh?
Yeah.
What? Yep. Yeah. It's because, and McKay, you'll relate to this. We needed a sketch so fucking badly. Like, we had no ideas.
Oh, it's the best.
And I read a Michael Jackson. It was the big Vanity Fair article that really implicated Michael Jackson. And I handed it to Dave. I go, this is it. There's nothing you can say. And then we were arguing. And then he started poking holes. I was like, we got to do this. We got to do this as a sketch. And it was like, we both were like, thank fucking God. Thank God.
Oh man, nothing.
Thanks, Michael Jackson, for touching those kids.
Something is the best catalyst. You have to, nothing better than you need a premise right now, and that's a classic. That's a good one. Was that one of the first couple shows that you did?
No, that's what it was. Episode like 12 of season 2.
Wow.
So we were not only did we had so few ideas that we did a garbage episode, the episode before it, where we just showed sketches that didn't work. Because, like, I remember I was sitting in his dressing room. He's like, "Fuck it, just tell him to cancel the show." I was like, "Dude, let's just do shit that didn't work." Because we had a bunch of them that were funny. And Mandela's Boot Camp was on there. There was one where him and Charlie Murphy and Donnell, they were the time haters, where they traveled back in time to hate on slavery. They
he ain't even got shoes on.
Yeah, and then Charlie goes like, Charlie's like, "Look at these motherfuckers! I could live being a slave. I could never go out like that." And then we cut to Charlie as a slave looking at himself, and like he gets all scared, and then Dave shoots the slave master. It gets nothing. It got nothing when we showed it. Like at the garbage episode, it bombed to the point where he's like, Dave goes, "I guess only me and Neal think that's funny." It sounds so fucking bad. Just a bunch of like refuse. There was another guy. There was a dating service on there where you would describe the kind of girl you wanted, and then dudes in the field would holler at them. It was the holler dating service. The guy would go, "Let me holler. So just off. And also, a lot of them should have worked anyway. It was just one of the things like, why didn't that work? No idea. But we made it work in the garbage episode. But we were fucked. We were absolutely fucked. And somehow came up with we scraped together a bunch of shit. Well, at the end, and they ended up being good.
Neal, what do you mean like they didn't work? Like in the process of shooting it,
they bombed.
So you show them to the audience, and it just gets.
We'd show them to the audience, they would bomb. And me and Dave used to do a joke where if a sketch didn't work, we'd go, "A very smart sketch." Not funny, thoughtful, very thoughtful sketch. Really makes you think.
I had a sketch once on SNL that he killed at the table, which was, there's 1,000 stories of sketches killing at the table and then bombing in dress. But this one really had killed in an extra way. And I think it was Farrell. No, it was Farrell, definitely. And he was eating a giant tuna sub while telling Rachel Dratch that she's terminally ill. And that was it. It was that simple. It was just a big, messy tuna sub. He's not playing it for laughs. He's just, he's busy. He's got to have lunch. And it's one of those big, wet tuna subs. And the fucking, read through, it just destroys. And then you get out on the studio floor and you're like, oh yeah, that sandwich is small. This studio is big. So I'll never forget just a whole crowd. I mean, that studio is not that big. What's it hold? 200 people or something like that? And just dead silence, like they're watching a drama scene with the doctor telling someone they're going to die. And he happens to be eating a sandwich and no indication that anything is funny whatsoever. And Farrell just walked off and was like, that sandwich was good.
Was Rob Lowe in that sketch?
I cannot remember.
Because he told a story. You know how that's like, you ever hear Lorne? It's like Lorne at his smuggest, but also absolutely funny and great, where he goes like, "No, I've seen that sketch 4 times. I wrote it twice." But because Rob Lowe told a story of a sketch that's almost identical to that, eating shit, like killing at the table, eating shit on the air.
It happened a lot, but that was the worst one I ever experienced, where you realize how small that live thing is. Because I was thinking about you saying these sketches bombing, and you're like, well, you're playing them on a monitor for a live crowd. Like, that's a weird way to watch a sketch. And I think you've kind of seen it now with TV. There's way more comedies that don't give a shit about the live. Because it used to drive me crazy on SNL. Like, really? We're going to let this live studio audience pick the entire show.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And now people have gotten way more relaxed. Like the laugh tracks went away from shows like The Office and, Parks and Rec and stuff. Yeah. And, but yeah, man, they had power. They had absolute power. And then sometimes you'd have a terrible sketch and like someone would drop a glass. So like the cast would get the giggles and it would kill. And then it would get chosen for air. And I'd go like, are we going to drop the glass again? Like the drop of the glass was an accident or a wig would come loose. And I was like, are we going to purposely have the wig come loose again? And then no. And then it would just bomb. But yeah.
The question for both of you guys, what's the worst joke that did well? Like you didn't feel good about yourself afterward. Like I made that joke and people actually liked it.
Man.
I mean, there's so many.
That you disgusted yourself?
That you don't even feel good about it.
There's a sketch on the first episode of Chappelle Show that's so fucked up and irresponsible where I don't even remember the premise was, and it worked, where it was like about older people shitting on hip hop and then saying like, this has been happening for years. And then we show Nat King Cole singing, and then he just dumps champagne all over a woman.
I gotta say, I fucking love this sketch.
I know, but it's like, I don't even know like, I look at it now, I'm like, what? We were fucking like animals.
Well, no, I don't mean morally reprehensible. I mean, like, this is not good comedy. Like, this is hack comedy, but people loved it for some reason.
I think, McKay, that what happened for us, and it probably happened for you too, at a certain point, they just expect. There was a thing where we couldn't do bad if we did bad sketches, they would not laugh. Like, and I don't know if you guys have that probably with the movies where it's like, no, your standard is so high that like I saw remember the Step Brothers screening that I went to that was like, it was like 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Awful.
It was like a wild screening.
Oh, it was one of the worst. I still reference it as one of the worst early screenings I've ever done for anything I've ever worked on. I had to go re-edit the entire movie afterwards. I mean, it was disastrous, like dead silence. Neal's right, though. I think like knowing Neal, how sharp he is, he's trying not to have those moments. And certainly when I was at SNL, you realize pretty quickly it's not worth it to get something on that's super cheap. However, because you're grinding away every week, it's going to happen. And the worst one for me that's really embarrassing was that we had that band Hanson on. And they had that song, Bop. And my wife and I had gone for our first trip together. We'd gone to Italy before we were even married. Went and stayed.
It was illegal. It was against the law. It was against the law and they did it.
I'm older, but back then you couldn't be with a woman unless you had your feet on the ground in a government-sanctioned facility being observed by witnesses. And also my wife, I was going to make a horrible joke. Okay, so my wife and I are in Italy and they play Mbop every 10 seconds on the radio. I get back to SNL, that band's on, and without thinking about it, I write some sketch about people taking the band hostage and making them listen to the song 1,000 times like we had to listen to it. It's a bad sketch. We're blocking it on set. And I'm like, shit, man, why did I write this? This is a hacky sketch. And the little kid drummer from Hanson, while we're blocking it with Beth McCarthy, the great Beth McCarthy, comes up to me and I'm like, well, you're supposed to be standing over here. And he goes, well, I'm not going to stand there because it's stupid, and starts yelling at me in front of the whole crew. And Beth McCarthy just comes over and puts her hand on my shoulder and goes, don't worry, Adam, I got this, and then handles the whole situation. I then begged Lauren to cut the sketch. And Lauren was like, why would I cut it? It's working. And it went right to air. And there was like a little bit of like the Indianapolis delivered the atomic bomb. That's why it got sunk and they all got eaten by sharks. So I got what I deserved from that experience. But that was embarrassing.
That's the weird thing about SNL is that if you don't like a sketch that you wrote, if it's after Wednesday, there's nothing you can do.
Oh, absolutely. I asked him to not put it on and it went to air. Yeah.
That was
embarrassing. That was a bad one. But I did get yelled at by the 9-year-old drummer of Hanson. So I felt like there was Greek justice involved in it.
Is that the worst? Is that the worst time you've been yelled at because of a sketch that you were trying to do?
Like,
like a 9-year-old's got to be tough. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, that was humiliating. I'm a grown. I mean, even though I was young, I was like 28 or something. Still, I'm 6'5". I'm standing on set. I think I was head writer at the time. And the 9-year-old drummer of Hanson's like, I'm not kidding, like yelling at me in front of like 20 crew members. So yeah, that's the worst.
Is that why?
And the thing is, McKay. But the thing he's not saying is that McKay shit his pants in front of the whole crew.
So, I mean, I wasn't saying it because I didn't want people to know about it, and it wasn't because the kid was yelling at me. I had some health issues as well, and then you could see us. I don't want to get into it. I had like an over saturation of a certain mineral, so that the poop was a strange color. So people started joking about that. They called me purple shit for the next 5 years. By the way, I just made the worst joke I've ever made. So
we did it right here on Cinephobe.
I think we get off on that.
Now, McKay, I can't let you go without asking you this question. On our podcast, Cinephobe, which is the podcast where we review movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes and try to ascertain whether they're accurately poorly rated or maybe they didn't just get a fair shake. Cinephobe, wherever you get podcasts. We have a recurring bit that whenever in these movies we sense heavy sexual tension between characters, we will drop the Will Ferrell sound from Eastbound and Down, where he says, "Woo! You feel the tension in the air right now? I feel it in my plums." Was that 100% improv by Will, or did you guys work a framework there?
I did not direct that episode. I directed one of the episodes of Eastbound and Down, so I wasn't there on that day.
Fair enough.
But I know wig was straight up a Ric Flair wig. I think that was even in the script, that character has hair like Ric Flair. And I know Will was improvising up a storm, and so was Danny McBride. So I'm just going to guess, but you'd have to confirm that with Danny McBride or Jody Hill. I'm pretty sure he improvised that.
I also think I've seen outtakes of that. And it seems really improvised because I think Craig's in that scene and he's trying not to laugh. And it's Will's, as McKay said, it's like driving a Lamborghini. It's like Will Ferrell's so goddamn funny.
Very relatable.
No, I still haven't. It's the closest I've come is directing Will. All right, fellas. I feel like we did it.
You guys did a great job.
I got the word out.
You did a great job.
And me and Adam have another fundraising podcast to do.
Also, Gates in DeSantis. Is that what?
2024.
Yeah, Gates DeSantis 2024. We got
a strong ticket.
Naughty favors.
Yeah, this is where the real fundraising happens, fellas, if you know what I mean.
They put the fun in
After
fundraising.
2:30, we get down to business.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's Adam McKay and Neal Brennan.
Congrats, you guys, on everything. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care, McKay. Peace, man.
Later, Neal. Love talking to you.
See you soon. You too.
Yeah, see you guys soon.
I thought they'd never leave. Yeah, I won't lie.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes where they went heavy political talk, I was worried.
Were you?
I was worried. Really? I was like, oh no.
You get worried?
I
didn't know you could get worried.
If I worried. Oh man, that was terrifying. I was like,
why?
What if that's all they want to do for the 2 hours?
Then that's what they do for the 2 hours.
It would have been great either
who
way.
Cares?
Right. So were you worried that they weren't getting enough Amin today?
No.
Funny?
No, I like them talking. I'm just saying, Republicans listen to this podcast too.
I don't think that's true.
No, that's true at all. No. Okay. Time, I guess.
No, by the way, Roy, thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Roy bats 99.999%
right
on these trivia factoids.
Unless you're in
and
the chair.
0.001% is when I'm sitting here with Adam McKay and Neal Brennan, and now I look like a moron. Now I know why Stugatz feels the way he does.
Moderna.
So you guys want to talk about the goods?
So
yeah.
Let's finally talk about the goods. Mike, have you seen the movie?
So I was meaning to get around to watching it this week, and I didn't have the time.
What's funny is I kept trying to hit it on the keyboard earlier. I tried to play this movie like an hour and a half ago, and I didn't know it was a touchscreen.
I saw it this week.
You saw it this week?
Yeah,
you got notes?
I saw it. Yeah, I got notes, and unfortunately, my third note has the name Charles Navy on it. So maybe I should have looked at my notes before I told him Charles Durning. Yeah, yeah.
Jesus. No, look. The funniest thing about this movie is that it did worse than G-Force. Like G-Force was an absolute monster. $300 million at the box office.
Hamsters in space.
Audience score 39% on Rotten Tomatoes versus 37% on The Goods.
Yeah.
And your number one top line star in this movie is Sam Rockwell. Really? Like, I just feel like all of those things conspire to be like, that's probably one of the most.
As a voice?
Yes.
Okay.
No, he's the only live action.
I don't know. I've never seen G-Force. I don't know if it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or
300 million people can't be wrong.
I don't think that's how box office works. I don't think they charged $1 for that movie. You dipshit.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
That movie's terrible.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah. So Roy.
Yes, sir.
Are you not you? Hold on. Are you sober?
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Roy.
You're a liar.
What did you think of Jeremy Piven?
I thought
this movie?
Yeah, I thought he was playing Jeremy Piven. Basically,
right. He just has the one
himself.
move, right?
Yeah.
It felt like I had a lot of Jeremy Piven questions, but that's a tough ask of Adam McKay.
So let me ask some questions that I gleaned from watching this movie. Number one, what's the worst you've ever fleeced someone? Because in the movie, Jeremy Piven's character as a kid trades one of those, what are they called? The balloon that's a bouncy balloon?
DraftKings? I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Like, after the stupidity hour, there was a real argument that maybe DraftKings.
Now, Mike, let me just say this. As someone who was in and out of paying attention to stupidity hour, I thought it was going to be worse. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be worse.
I came at it like hoping against hope that it would be better.
Okay.
And
well, yeah, I mean, you hope it's going to be better.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't. It seemed as though the entire plan was over YouTube. Let's have two dudes listen silently to a montage that they made. So I was like, oh, we gotta get some. That's why like Amin was like sent up to the pirate ship. I'm like, we gotta get some visual stimulation. But outside of that, which killed,
of course.
Then Adnan came to the rescue, and Adnan was good. But also, it's just you got secret sauce, man. When things don't seem to be going well, he turns it into a positive because people just love him for who he is, which is totally authentic because he had a lot of time to come with it.
Yeah, I don't get that privilege with people I work with.
I was born in the darkness. You merely adopted it.
What is that accent?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad.
That's pretty good.
You see, that's support right there. That's good teammates.
I got to tell you guys, you have ruined the Arnold Schwarzenegger like standard, right? It's just him ejaculating when you make that noise. That's all it is.
Ejaculate.
So The Goods, Roy, star-studded cast.
Oh yeah, that was a great cast, man, and I'm happy to see what Catherine Hahn's career has turned out to be. So that's
I love her.
Dude,
she can't do anything wrong.
How awesome is it? That's what I mean, I wanted to ask McKay, but I'm drunk.
Right.
That Catherine Hahn is like a meme now, like her winking in WandaVision. That has to feel really fucking cool when it's someone that you gave an opportunity. We got to bleep that out. Okay. It's live. That's someone that you kind of like help break into this part of the industry is now like widespread where people don't even know where that's from. They just use that picture of her winking.
Well, our show has plenty of memes. I mean, you got Billy over here, his head exploding and spinning around like a top back there.
Right.
That's been used a lot. I'm sure he's pretty happy about that.
I appreciate it. Not the same.
Not the same. Not the same.
A1A,
No, I'm just happy that the show has memes.
What's the widest spread meme from this show? Like the one that's got most traction.
I think it's there's like a Sugat's one where he's like in the seat that you're in right now.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got his phone. Yeah.
And you don't get the show because it comes up with the graphic.
Right.
A lot of people use that too.
Do you guys feel like anything on this show has ever broken out of this show's kind of atmosphere? Meaning,
Cinephobe?
Well, yeah. What's that again?
Cinephobe? Oh, it's the movie where we watch poorly rated movies.
It's a movie.
Yeah, Ascertain.
Yeah, I cannot wait for Cinephobe the movie. No. So McKay told a story about being at a bar and hearing people do bits from his movie and thinking they're doing it for him and realizing, no, it's part of the lexicon now. Neal Brennan told a story about the insurrection. Someone saying the insurrection is a hell of a drug, which is, again, a reference to Chappelle's Show, but maybe they didn't even know it's from Chappelle's Show. What from LeBatard's cinematic universe has grown greater than LeBatard Show itself?
Princess Claire.
I can't argue that one.
Word combinations, says Chris.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say Wabanation?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Know your own character.
You think Ant-Man ever forgets he's Ant-Man?
What?
Yeah.
Transition.
Other questions.
Tension? Was that tension? I read tension.
I can feel it in my plums.
In my plums.
Whoa.
My wife, Donna.
It was a bold strategy to tell the producer on the show that you're just dropping.
That we've been ripping his audio, you dumb shit?
No,
Why would you do that? That's not legal.
He's here. He's part of this, isn't he? Isn't he?
Is he?
He is.
Welcome to
Cinephobe.
Okay, what's the most you've ever paid for a haircut? Remember, Ed Helms' character points out, I have a $62 haircut.
No, it was $44, and I'd love to pay $44 for a haircut.
Okay. What do you pay?
$65 plus $2.
Jesus Christ.
I've paid more before.
More? What's the most you've ever paid for a haircut was the question.
So I'm just telling you what I regularly pay.
Jesus.
When I first moved to LA, here's a name drop, JJ Reddick gave me the contact to his guy. And that was
it's a clean fade.
$75 plus tip.
Clean fade.
Yeah, it's great.
You want triple digits on your cut.
What? $75
plus tip.
Plus tip.
Fucking $25. You kidding me?
Well, I guess the cut wasn't that good. Mike, what's the most you've ever paid for a haircut?
I think 55 all in.
Is that the regular price or is that
No, the regular price is 40.
Okay. Roy.
$18.
My man, Roy. Juju, what's the most you've ever paid for a haircut?
What?
That'll be about $9, Bob. I haven't had a haircut since 2001, sir.
Are you self-edging up?
Absolutely not. My partner, I saved his life. He give me a lineup every time I need one. Shouts out to you.
Sounds like you've got the most expensive haircut.
Hold on.
It costs a life.
Hold on. How did you save his life?
I used to be in the streets. I'm not proud of it, but God done brought me a mighty long way. Thank you, Lord.
That's a perfect answer.
Yeah, beautiful answer. Good answer. Good
answer. Vague. Yeah. I'm proud of you and also slightly scared.
I'm not scared. I'm intrigued.
You want more?
Wouldn't hate more.
I don't think you should press.
Well, I don't want more on the mic, but that's maybe an off-air conversation.
All right, that's good for the show, by the way.
An hour from now.
Tension?
Plums.
Plum. Hey. Yo, by the way, so Zach and I do a radio show on Mad Dog Sports Radio. And every time Zach wants to do a hypothetical, he always frames it as, hey, maybe the Clippers aren't that good. But every time you yell, hey, he says it exactly like Will Ferrell. And I think he's saying, hey, those plums are good. You want to trade a Twinkie for it? No, these are my plums.
I mean, what's the most you've ever paid for a haircut?
Ooh, it was the NBA Finals, and it had been a while because we've been on the road, so I got a haircut from the guy who cuts everybody's hair on the Warriors except for Steph and Clay. His name was Chocolate, and I couldn't call him that. I was like, hey, all right, bro. Like, I just could not call a grown man Chocolate. But Chocolate charged me, I want to say like $75. But he came to the hotel room, they cut my hair, yeah.
You won't call this man Chocolate.
No.
But when it comes to the young man from Soul Man,
I'm not sure I remember who you're talking about.
Well, his name is Fudge Leonard. You will happily call him Fudge. So what's the difference?
Like Fudge is like, it's a Fudge. It's a funny name. Remember, do you ever read the
Chocolate's
books?
Not funny?
No, chocolate's not funny. It's uncomfortable.
This is like that Cedric Tina joke. Like, I'm not going to call another grown man delicious. That sort of thing. Like,
pretty much.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
I'd call Jean-Claude Van Damme delicious if that's what he wanted.
Well, let me tell you something, man. Somebody sent a tweet today and said Cinephobe needs to do a martial arts month. And my mind exploded.
Okay, so where would you go?
Bloodsport, which I thought we did a Cinephobe on, but apparently we didn't. I literally watched it.
I can't tell you.
Tell the story.
How frustrating it is to have to talk to this man, Amin Al-Hassan, as much as I do professionally. Like, this guy doesn't remember anything that happens.
That's right.
You guys have a spreadsheet of the movies you've done, right?
It's
Roy, I got in a full-on argument with him and Anthony Mays, our producer. I said, I swear to God, we've done Bloodsport. I remember doing the joke about how he killed the guy and then took his headband as like bounty.
So what actually happened is Amin watched it at 7 a.m. one morning. I know because he was texting us at 7 a.m. about watching Bloodsport, and he texted us maybe 3 jokes. Maybe.
No, I was more than 3 jokes.
No, and then thought, well, 3 that were funny. And then thought that we had done an entire episode on it and was arguing with us. And eventually we're just like, show it to us. Send me the link to us doing Bloodsport.
It's a great movie, though.
Nobody was arguing that.
No.
If you guys do Bloodsport, please let me be in that guy. I got a tattoo of Bolo on my back.
Whoa.
Greatest movie villain of all time. Yes or no?
Best villain ever. I love villains.
All right.
Oh my God.
Looking at the tattoo, that is definitely
terrifying.
Yeah, that is Bolo.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I'm scared of him right now that you're going to jump off of Juju's arm and beat my ass.
Now, I would wager that Bolo in Bloodsport is not the most terrifying. Even Bolo villain.
No, of course. The most
Bolo in Double Impact.
Double Impact.
Yeah. Which we did an episode for.
We did 2 episodes for. That's how good it was.
Which we did an episode that was so good, we had to make it 2 episodes. That's what I was going to say before you interrupted me.
Semantics. Semantics, Fox.
So, Roy, what would be your martial arts?
My martial...
Bloodsport is off the table.
Man.
Double Impact is also off the table because we've already done it.
Yeah.
I
You
want to
filibustered a lot here, Roy.
I want to say sidekicks for no apparent reason.
Sidekicks?
Yeah, sidekicks.
Okay.
Jonathan Brandis? The movie is great.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
File.
Yeah, that's a big time.
It's an incredible, like, because it's a spoof film, but done seriously. If you idolize Chuck Norris, he's recreating all of his classic characters. It's amazing. R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis too. Tragic.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you got for martial arts?
All right, so straight up martial arts movie, or like kind of campy action, like video game style, like we did with Mortal Kombat. Because I'd go Street Fighter if we're doing that, because that movie is straight up awful. But if I'm going just really campy B-movie, martial arts movie that I love and would stop on, there's this movie starring Jeff Speakman called The Perfect Weapon.
Oh, Perfect Weapon's great.
Which is incredible. And yeah, that's one of my favorite martial arts movies. I could do a podcast on that.
In the Shadows. Tony, do you have a nominee for Martial Arts Month for Cinephobe?
I gotta think. I gotta brush up on my martial arts movies. I haven't seen a martial arts movie in a long ass time.
Because they don't make them anymore.
They don't, right?
Yeah.
Could you do a Bruce Lee movie? Are there any poorly rated Bruce Lee movies?
No, that guy makes bangers.
Only?
He made bangers.
Certified bangers only?
R.I.P. All certified. Roy, you've got one while Tony thinks.
Yeah. I gotta check Rotten Tomatoes for this one, but this one, oh boy. Ricky O, The Story of Ricky. That was one of the bloodiest movies I've ever seen. It was
I'm
pretty
stumped.
gory.
I don't know it.
Ricky O?
Yeah, I don't know Ricky O.
Story of Ricky?
You gotta find it. You gotta find it. Find it, watch it, and then oh boy. Come back to me on that.
Zach, what switching gears a little bit here.
Oh, I don't get to answer?
No, we don't care.
You threw out the question. Everyone knows that when you throw out the question,
the reasons
you're
I just want to answer.
your turn.
Yeah, that's all. I was really hoping you wouldn't go around the room. I thought you were going to throw it to me, and then I would go around the room. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Zach, what's your pick?
American Ninja, 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, because Amin and I have a long-standing argument where he is completely in the wrong.
No, don't taint it.
Mike, who is the star of American Ninja?
Sasha from Step by Step.
That's Kickboxer 2.
Moderna.
Also, Roy, who's the star of American Ninja?
You know the answer.
You know the answer.
I think I know the answer, but I'm not sure.
You know
Michael Dudikoff?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, yes.
Wow, what a pull.
Juju, who is the star of American Ninja?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and answer the question y'all didn't think to ask me. And I got 3 words. Jim Cotter.
The 3 words?
Jim Cotter's 1 word, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was 2.
Also, 3 ninjas.
3 ninjas are
Kick
great.
back?
Surf ninjas?
There was 3 ninjas kick back, and then 3 ninjas at Magic Mountain or something like that with Hulk Hogan, where he was wearing a wig. If you ever watched 3 Ninjas, and I had the VHS, it was such cool 90s colors, neon and all that. It's they're saying the F word, and the plot is these kidnappers are there to straight up murder these kids, not innocently rob your goodies from your home like Home Alone. They're just trying to murder the 3 ninjas.
And Double Dragon, another band.
Yeah.
Great video game.
The answer we were looking for was Steve James, by the way.
Nope, we were
Steve James.
Amin
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yeah, Amin thinks
the American Ninja.
Thinks the black guy in the movie is the American Ninja.
All my life, when someone says American Ninja, the first name that comes in my mind is Steve James. But I'm not. It's not even
Michael
a bit.
Dudikoff.
No, I don't even know what he looks like. I know what Steve James looks like, though.
You do know what Dudikoff looks like.
He looks like all of you other guys.
Whoa.
Oh, okay. All right. So I looked up Ricky O on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm thoroughly shocked. 89% on the critics and 85% for the audience.
So Roy, did you think the movie was terrible?
I thought it. Yeah. I didn't think the movie was terrible. I didn't think it was going to be that highly rated. So now it's not even eligible for a potential submission.
So, Mike, I wanted to throw this by you. I cannot find the name.
Why you look for that? What time is Cinephile on?
7 a.m.
We got prime time. What are you talking about?
Did we get prime time?
Didn't we?
I mean, welcome to Cinephobe, I guess.
Look at it this way. He's getting 4 a.m. Pacific.
Oh, you can't get any of the Hollywood people. The Hollywood elites.
Meanwhile, who got the Hollywood elites?
Yeah, so
exactly.
We got Method Man, Adam McKay, and Neal Brennan. All 3 of whom we've done movies of.
Right.
On Cinephobe, which is the podcast.
Or the movie.
We watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten.
So I had a chance, and I had to pass it up because I didn't have time to make the trip work, but I had a chance recently to go to Cabo with Dante Basco, who played Rufio in Hook.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. How did this come together?
It wasn't
you had the chance. You didn't go.
Right. It wasn't just me and him.
He recently talked about him.
Wow,
Rufio, which I wonder if I had gotten drunk, would I have done that and ruined whatever potential friendship was there with Dante Basco?
Also, Hook, episode 79 of Cinephobe. You can download it now.
Oh, you know that off the top of your head? That's impressive. Yeah. Ascertain. But yeah, so a friend of mine, a new friend of mine,
Tension.
was going to Cabo for his 40th birthday. And a couple that was going to go had to fall out last minute. So he was like, hey, if you want to go, this is what it would be. And I had 4 days to figure it out, and I just couldn't figure it out. But he's friends with Dante Basco. I'd look at the Instagram stories. Dante Basco was there. And now what a regret that is.
Yeah. That's, by the way.
Still a great story, though, that you almost
I don't know if I can tell this story.
Why not?
No, I can't tell the story.
Is it that? Okay, all right. Okay, I was going to tell.
Well, I know someone who told me 2 different stories about times he almost played basketball with Adam Sandler, and the second time it just sounded like he was stalking him, but it was
the second time was absolutely stalking him.
2 different stories in which he almost played basketball with Adam Sandler, but didn't either time.
The second time he literally stood outside and just waited for him
outside his home in Malibu.
That's stalking. That is officially stalking.
Yeah, that's stalking.
There was a security guard outside his home too.
So the question I was going to ask was, because you told a story about almost going on vacation with Dante Bosco.
Yeah, just me and him. Yeah,
Rufio.
Right.
From Hook.
Most people know him as Rufio.
Right.
I'm sure he's annoyed by that.
No,
I would have known him as Dante.
He has a really illustrious catalog of being a guest star on black TV shows. Fresh Prince, Smart Guy, Moesha. This kid was everywhere in the 90s. If you needed someone who wasn't black to be a guest star on your show, Dante Bosco was there. He was ready.
What's your favorite?
Oh, it has to be Fresh Prince.
Okay. What happened?
He's like dating Ashley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tatiana Ali.
Tatiana, there you go.
Who dated Jonathan Brandis, R.I.P.
Ooh,
Really?
Rest in peace, yeah. Wow. Ladybugs, faux profile.
Ooh, I watched it last week, and man, is it
doesn't hold up?
It is problematic.
Yeah.
Just from the
Mike
jump.
is,
you know, you have to judge these. It's just hard. You're like, I shouldn't be laughing at. I shouldn't even be watching this anymore.
But did you laugh?
Yeah, I laughed, but I was just
Monster.
like more.
Can't believe
you have a daughter.
Yeah, I was just more.
A child.
I have a child.
I was just more
That's right,
afraid
not a show.
that people would find out that I watched it. So I just
Wait, do you think that there's like the internet police were gonna come down and like a Minority Report through the windows and stuff? Mike Ryan, you're
File. It's a great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Hey,
Also,
Tom Cruise acting his ass off.
Yeah,
Oh, of course.
For
Always.
sure.
Always.
for sure.
Mm.
Colin
He
Farrell
played-
too.
Tom Cruise played a cocky law enforcement guy? Is that what
He
it
wasn't
is?
that cocky.
He
It was
wasn't?
a great Spielberg film too.
Yeah.
You did Daredevil on this most recent
Correct. Yeah.
episode of Cinephobe, and I want to get around to it because I love how much Colin Farrell is acting his ass off in this film.
Incredible.
He's incredible. Just give us the Bullseye spinoff. That was the best. Like, what did they tell him? He came with a concept for Bullseye because Bullseye was like a Yankees pitcher, and here he's just like
He's an Irish
dart thrower from
player.
Dublin.
Yeah.
He's a dart thrower. He's got like throwing stars just in his belt buckle.
paper clips.
The
He's got-
bald head and the scar on the head that was a bullseye was perfect.
This is his first role ever where he got to use his own Irish accent. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Every movie he was in before that, he had to
do a terrible American accent. Right.
Yeah. And so this was the final, the first one where he got to be himself.
And look how that turned out.
I mean, look,
we're still waiting for the sequel. They tease it at the end.
They do. They do.
I missed that. I thought you were joking.
No, I wasn't joking because we have this running bit on Cinephobe.
What's Cinephobe?
Oh, Cinephobe is a podcast.
I like how Roy's now Dr. Evil. He just asked me. I got to hold back.
I'm just trying to cut you guys off.
We didn't get a fair shake, but
Can't fly, can't fight, can't crow. I can't believe you almost went to.
I was so
Mexico
close,
with
man.
Rubio.
If I had like 3
Wait, was
extra
that a
days, I could.
poem?
By the way, that's like the fourth time that Zach has had an opportunity to be in the atmosphere of someone who could be a guest on our podcast and really give us numbers and just completely drop the ball.
You did give him a lot of shit for that.
No. Here's what happens is maybe 3 or 4 times leading up to an episode, I will say. So for Hook, Erin, my girlfriend, one of her really good friends, plays.
Congratulations, by
Thank
the
you.
way,
Attention.
on the sex.
I hope there's tension.
Somebody else is having a baby. Hey, how about that? Hey.
Oh God, I hope. Not yet. Not yet.
Aaron, so you find out
She's not watching this.
Oh.
She's gone to sleep by now. No, but her good friend plays young Peter Pan in it. And so leading up to us going to do Hook, I mentioned...
How many connection points do you have to Hook?
I mentioned 3 damn times, hey, Aaron's friend played young Peter Pan in Hook, Ryan J. Francis. I can get him on the pod. Do you want him? I get nothing. Nothing as a response.
This is how you know it's a dumbass question. Do you think we would have been like, hell no, I don't want no Peter Pan on my podcast?
Yes.
Why?
Because you gave me 0 response.
Why would it ever be no? Do you think you would have booked him and I would say, I'm not going to do the podcast anymore? You thought that was going to happen?
I think you would have done this. You would have been like, why are we doing this? That's what it, because we've had that.
Point.
Yeah, exactly. We've done that. We've had that with plenty of guests.
Maybe.
Plenty of radio guests. Mark Henry, we did that. right?
No, okay,
but Mark Henry ended up being great.
He was the best.
He was amazing.
The world's strongest man?
World's strongest man. We had him during the pandemic, early days of the pandemic.
We shit on our program director so hard. We're like, what are you doing?
Why are we having him? Oh, he's a Lakers fan, sure.
Oh, he's a Lakers. What's he going to tell us about Shaq and Kobe? Like, no, man. And then he came on, and this dude was amazing. Like, he had stats.
That's what was amazing to you?
No, I mean, he was well read and well knowledged, and I appreciated it out of a guest for a change.
He was. We had Tom Haverstraw on tonight.
I know, he was terrible. Should I unveil my theory that I did on radio?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Tom Haverstraw and Kate Fagan. They're using dummy peppers. Those aren't really hot. They're just acting their ass off that whole time.
Hell of a theory there.
I agree. I'm with you.
Now,
I was thinking it earlier, but I didn't say it.
Now let them know why. It was the smell that tipped you off, right?
So they made the big deal like, oh, these are the hottest peppers ever, da-da-da. And Kate hands me the bag, opens it, says, smell it. It's hot, smell it. And so I take a sniff, and I'm like, I can't smell it. I mean, there's like a faint odor. And she says, that's how you know it's hot.
When there is no smell. It's so hot that smell doesn't exist anymore. It's the dog whistle of peppers, of heat, right?
Now, does that not sound like bullshit to any of you guys?
It's a toughie.
It's tough because I've never eaten a pepper that I did the one chip challenge.
Oh, how was that?
Rough, real rough, but that certainly had a scent, but it was also a chip. Like they just put a bunch of pepper dust on a tortilla chip. So it's not the same.
But did you smell chip or did you
she
smell
wasn't
pepper?
faking. She wasn't faking. Trust me. I got plenty of heat from that behind the scenes. I wish you were, because then a lot of people would be apologizing to me right now.
She wasn't faking, but her name is Kate Fagan.
What?
Kate Bacon.
That's what they were calling her.
Yeah,
Kate Bacon.
There we go.
What?
This is pretty. It's turned out pretty well, I think, overall.
The live stream, not
the live stream. No,
Cinephobe.
you guys killed it. Let me tell you something. Like now, it's a little tougher, but I feel like we're doing okay with the general banter. But with Matt and Adam McKay and Neal Brennan, like it's hard to get out of the way. Lord knows Amin was trying to get in there, but thank God for prioritization of audio on Zoom. All you have to do is lay out for those two guys, and you were just a fly on the wall as two comedy titans, geniuses,
cutting it up.
Absolute geniuses who could have done that on their own. They let us.
That was the weirdest part. It was, at one point, it felt like a phone conversation. Between the two of them, and I was thrown off.
I felt like the NSA. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
It was fantastic.
I feel like this was the best portion of the 24-hour broadcast.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's the scoring on this. It's this, and on the opposite side, it's stupidity.
Yeah, we all know stupidity is worse.
Yeah.
I think you know what my favorite part was. Jim Rome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just
excellent.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's still posting on social media, he's an icon. I look up to that guy so much.
Cinephobe close second?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give, you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to Rasheed Wallace because
he was great.
He was early on, and we needed that energy bump because Dan was crying, and we needed to just get out of that zone.
Dan was revving high at the start because I looked in the studio 2 minutes before we're going live, and he was just so overwhelmed with emotion and incredible support from the staff that he was moved to tears, which is, from a producer, like personally, like I level with that. That's incredible. Like he's moved in part because he loves every single person in this building outside of Uzak because he doesn't really have much of a relationship.
We made out earlier.
But it's also not ideal 2 minutes before a 24-hour marathon that you can't like bottle your emotions up and like you can't control them. And so he was revving pretty high. He was over explaining a little bit like I probably am right now. But I think we once Rasheed came in, to your point, it absolutely settled. We got great energy. He honked the horn. Thank God.
That horn was amazing.
There's so many great moments. And we're not even, we're relatively close to finishing this whole thing, but actually it's quite.
No, we're not.
No. Yeah.
We're not even. That's
8.5 hours or less.
To me, like once it gets to 6 a.m., like, that's a big hurdle for me. Cause
Oh, you mean breakfast flan hour?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm most worried because I'm gonna get a second win too when Greg Cody comes in here, because that's gonna be something. By the way, Eastern.
The highlight of the night by far was we're trying to figure out. Me and Zach had to do our radio show 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern, and obviously, Cinephobe starts around that time. Juju's trying to plan his set so that he gives us enough filibuster time. And someone asked, "How long's the walk?" And we said about 10 minutes. And Greg flies in and he says, at that time of night, it'll be about 20.
Which doesn't make
sense because we were walking. We weren't driving. So I said, is it wall-to-wall humanity? I believe that Greg thought we were driving.
Right.
But then when he realized he was wrong, he just stuck to his guns. He didn't want to.
He sunk into it, yeah.
Yeah. He just held on to the idea that it would be 20-minute walking at 1 a.m.
And it wasn't 10. I mean, it was somewhere in the middle.
No, we needed to go to something that I had scheduled for later in the program, because Juju performed 3 songs, had me saying F Dan Stancic when I generally like Dan Stancic. I think he's a good hand.
Yeah, that's the banger though.
Yeah, but no, I get where he's coming from, because he was an avatar for nothing personal. If I can say this,
that's David Sampson.
No, not gimmick infringement. It's just Dan Stancic became an avatar for everybody that tried to hold Juju Gotti down.
Right.
So it's bigger than Dan Stancic, but it's hard to separate that when you're telling the crowd to chant "fuck Dan Stancic."
That's the highlight of Dan Stancic's career.
It's a very pointed criticism at that point.
And I want to say, Dan Stancic, I love you, brother. No offense. This is all fun and games, and I wish you nothing but the best. You and your new wife, your new child. You know what I mean? I'm so proud of you, brother. Keep doing your thing. But fuck you, man.
Okay. Yeah.
You're my brother.
Let me ask you a question, because we've got the goods on here in the studio.
Yeah, that was the general theme.
Oh, it's actually playing?
Yeah, it's actually. I figured out how to use a touchscreen. So sideburns. Jeremy Piven has them in this movie.
Terrible.
Mike, have you ever tried sideburns?
Of course.
Yeah, I've tried sideburns, but now in my mid-30s, I'm getting the grays isolated there.
Wait, are you anti-gray?
So I'm anti-gray in the weird patches that I have. Like, I'm good with the salt and pepper beard, but when I have a longer beard, it's just like, wow, I have like really long gray hair, and it kind of just messes with the whole vibe. But now I've been doing like that skin fade.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for quite some time. So I tried growing my hair out, and like my sideburns are all graying.
Wow.
So now I'm never going to be a sideburn guy again, I don't think. Wow.
Tony?
Are you you're pro gray?
Oh, I love having. I've had gray hair since I was like 24.
Where?
So what? Wouldn't you like to know?
Attention,
baby. Plums.
Ascertain.
Just on my plums.
Welcome to Cinephobe.
So I've been at peace with this for a while, but yeah, no, I like.
By the way, the scene that's playing right now.
I'm so distracted by this scene.
You're gonna have to describe the scene for our viewers who are not
right. So this is the scene in which Ian Roberts and Catherine Hahn are negotiating, or she's trying to pretend like she's not going to use her sexuality to sell him a car, and then starts describing a scene in which she, an Asian woman, and maybe a cheerleader are all like kind of getting hot and heavy in a sauna or a shower or something like that.
And Ian Roberts is their landlord. And she says, "Well, how are you going to get over here?" He says, "I'm next door. I'm the landlord." He's like, "No, you're miles away.
You've got properties all over town."
And the line that I wrote down was, she says, "I knew something was missing in this apartment. A big cock."
No, he makes her say it.
Oh,
he said, "I got a line for you to say. I got a line for you to say." And then he delivers it, and she delivers it.
She's so funny.
She's great. And a line that he delivers at that point where he says, and maybe a construction woman comes in, and you don't know if she's hot or not until she takes off her hat.
Lets her hair down. Oh,
and then she's like, "So how are you going to get over?" He's like, "Oh, I'm next door." No. You've got places all around town. He's like, "I'll get the car. He's like, "It's a good car, isn't it?" She says, "Nah, not really." He goes, "Fuck it. I'll just push it. I don't care."
The Adam McKay said one of his favorite lines in the movie that he laughed at for 2 years was that it looks like the bus station from Total Recall.
So good.
The other line in that scene is, Looks like a refugee camp for dirty men. That's so funny.
Not as funny as the Total Recall one.
No.
Maybe leave with that one earlier.
I had a note. This is for the riot scene. I said, I wrote down, turning a riot into a sales opportunity is quintessentially American.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The movie is. That's what he was saying. He was saying the movie was about America coming out of this financial crisis.
Right.
Which is really weird because then he made a serious movie about that financial crisis. Adam McKay did.
Like 10 years later.
I know, but at the moment, in the middle of it, he said, let me do something about selling cars.
Yeah.
No?
Okay, right. I mean, I don't.
They can't all be winners. I mean, shit, welcome to Cinephobe.
I actually, though, I have one regret about that interview. Ascertain. I have one regret about that. I wanted to get into the other guys because that is...
Which guys?
The other guys.
Abbott and Costello over here. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
That's a top 3 comedy for me.
Top 3?
Yeah.
Of all time?
All time.
Liked it. I don't know if it was top 3.
I said for me. You don't have to like it. I don't give a shit, but it's a top 3 comedy for me all time. The other guys is a banger from start to, that's also on like financial crisis. That's like, the whole Bernie Madoff shit and everything. Like that's
true,
a great movie.
There's a Ponzi scheme.
He said the runtime was 142, so that's a long runtime. That goes
especially for a comedy. Yeah, especially for a comedy. It does go against my rule, but
what's your top 3 comedies
of all time?
Sure.
No order.
No, I want them in order.
Okay, Blazing Saddles is 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is Wedding Crashers.
Okay. I think if I ask him tomorrow, he gives me a
completely different answer.
Yeah. Number 3, and it is fluid, so it could move up. Schindler's List.
Delayed reaction. I should have said wow.
Wow.
2.
Wow. Yeah.
Nice redirect, by the way.
Yeah. I know. Moving on.
Yeah.
Next.
Roy, your top 3 comedies of all time.
Oh, man. I can't really. Blazing Saddles is one of them. Tropic Thunder
is 2.
That
was a good one.
Yeah,
but I can't really think of a
List.
third one. I can't really think of a third comedy now.
Schindler's List is still out there.
No.
Can I
thriller section?
Can I get handsy with the wheel for just 1 second?
Sure.
Just 1 second.
Go for it.
And ask you guys an NBA story that's
absolutely,
going around.
Yeah.
So Damian Lillard, there's now all sorts of rumors out there that he may be the next superstar to be targeted. And everything that Damian Lillard has ever said indicates that he is going to stay in Portland. He's not one of those guys, kind of the way that Giannis was, even though Giannis started flirting with it a little bit more until he actually did extend. But Damian Lillard kind of did the smoke signal of first, like the disgruntled superstar move of, I want a head coach, and his name is Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, first, that's not even the first step, though, right? The first step was rap lyrics on Instagram. That's the first step.
True.
And then he went to, I want Jason Kidd. We were actually talking about this on Mad Dog Sports Radio earlier.
10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern on Friday nights.
That's correct.
Just accept Mad Dog
ascertain.
Sports.
We try to ascertain if it's a good sports story or a bad sports story. Maybe didn't get a fair shake as a head coach. I don't know. I kind of lost in this Terry Stotts thing right now. But
are you drunk?
I've had a lot of this tequila. I've had a fair amount. Like I think Master had about there to there, and I think that
is Master alive?
Yeah, he texted me.
Okay,
from Zuckerberg's house.
Well,
it's good.
You weren't supposed to name.
Oh,
yeah.
He said that in confidence.
He said that in confidence.
I got some scotch here that I offered you.
You did, but I've got this this reposado.
Yeah, that's probably not a good mix.
He texted me. I'm at this blank party, and Gucci Mane is performing.
Oh, featuring Marks.
Wow.
Wow. Messed up for doing that to me.
I was trying to
remember. You're a former front office executive.
Hold on. And then
you traffic in secrets.
And then Justin Timberlake's
just Maine. Drop the Gucci.
Oh no! What?
Wow.
I'm gonna
disagree.
Wow.
Oh my god.
By the way, Amin almost shit himself during our radio show.
Oh my god. No, there was a dark period in the middle of our radio show where he's looking at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I got a fart, and I don't know if it's gonna be just a fart." So I actually had to excuse myself. I went to the bathroom and thunder and lightning came out. And luckily there was no particulate matter that came out, but the sound and the fury and the smell, oh my God, the smell. And I really wondered, I swear to God, I didn't tell this to you because I didn't want you to lose confidence because I know how fragile you can be.
What confidence?
So thunder and lightning came out, but no rain, I guess?
No rain.
Okay.
No rain.
Splash.
Dookie bomb.
Dookie bomb.
Drop the dookie.
I didn't know if I was going to make it. There was a point where I was like, I'm going to get in this bed and I'm just going to curl up in a fetal position. And that's it.
Here's the thing. Amin didn't tell me that because he didn't want me to lose confidence, right?
Yes.
He 100% told me about 15 minutes before we left to come back over here, I don't know if I'm going to make it over there.
I think I know the reason behind your situation there. You two had a hot sauce competition in the other room over there.
Competition would indicate there was a competitor. No one was competing with us. We were just blowing people out with the hot sauce.
Blowing people out.
Right?
Maybe word choice there wasn't great.
You were trying to blow something out.
Attention.
In my plums.
Next time we make love, you introduce me to Jade.